Celestial Immortal Clan. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 151 The Resentful Tiger. After hearing the boss's offer, Lin Changqing certainly disagreed and was about to bargain. The young monk over there saw that the boss ignored him, and he was not happy. He turned around and cursed Lin Changqing directly. "Are you blind? Can't you see that we are negotiating the price?" Lin Changqing glanced at him and said lightly, "Shut your stinky mouth. You are negotiating your purple electric Martin. I didn't raise the price to steal yours. I'm buying my black tiger. What does this have to do with you?" The young monk was furious when he heard Lin Changqing say that he was foul-mouthed. His hands trembled with anger. Then he pointed at Lin Changqing and shouted, "How dare you talk to me like this? Wait, don't come out if you dare to leave the market. If you dare to leave the market, I will make you look good." After that, he pushed the crowd away angrily and walked out of the market. Lin Changqing shook his head and then ignored him. If this kind of person really wanted to die, he would just send him off and didn't take it too seriously. He turned to the stall owner and said, 2,500 spirit stones are too expensive. How about 1,200 spirit stones? Besides, we have to wait until it grows to the second stage, and we don't know when that will be. Besides, it's not so easy to cultivate this black tiger, and we don't know how much resources it will consume. So if the price is too expensive, then I won't want it." The boss nodded, admitting that Lin Changqing was right. After thinking for a while, he said, "Since you really want it, I'll choose one for you for 1,800 spirit stones." Lin Changqing was silent for a moment before he said, "I'll buy one for 1,500 spirit stones, and since I've prevented you from doing business, I'll buy the purple electric Martin as well." The boss was a little surprised to hear Lin Changqing say this. He originally thought that Lin Changqing was only interested in the black tiger, but after consideration, he decided to agree to sell it to Lin Changqing. So he said, "Okay, I'll sell it to you. You should have heard the price of the purple electric Martin just now. 2,500 spirit stones for each one. No less." Lin Changqing nodded and said, "I heard it. I'll choose a tiger cub first, and I'll pay you with the spirit stones later." Seeing that the boss nodded and didn't object, Lin Changqing directly caught a little tiger cub marked by the innate merit eye. After checking it, he didn't expect it to be a little female tiger, fluffy and cute. Chen Ziya, who was next to him, was very happy when she heard that Lin Changqing bought a purple electric Martin by the way, and was eager to try it out. Seeing her like this, Lin Changqing certainly wouldn't let her down. He motioned her to get the purple electric Martin she had been thinking about, and then counted out 4,000 spirit stones from the storage bag and paid it to the boss. After the boss collected the spirit stones, he said to Lin Changqing, "The young cultivator just now should be a descendant of the nearby foundation building family, the Bai family. Be careful when you leave the market, don't let him stop you." Lin Changqing didn't expect the boss to be a good person and actually reminded him. After Lin Changqing thanked the boss, he said goodbye and left. Then Lin Changqing took Chen Ziya and the two of them quickly left the street stall square. They had just spent 4,000 spirit stones to buy 2 spirit beast cubs. They must have been targeted by someone with ulterior motives. It would be a fool to stay here at this time. In addition to the boss's advice and what the young cultivator said just now, he didn't know if it was bluffing, so for safety reasons, Lin Changqing decided not to go shopping for the time being. He took Chen Ziya away quickly, and then spent some time to shuttle around the streets and alleys in the market. He went around several times and almost fainted. In addition, Lin Changqing's consciousness was always paying attention to the surrounding situation. After confirming that the people with ulterior motives following behind were shaken off, the two returned to the Ping'an Hotel. In the living room of the suite, the two drank tea. "How is it? Junior sister, you also saw those people who followed us. Do you have any thoughts on this matter?" Lin Changqing asked. Chen Ziya thought for a while, nodded and said, "The cultivation level of key refining is low, and exposing thousands of spirit stones can cause a lot of trouble. But with my senior brother by my side, I don't have to worry about anything. I just need to listen to your arrangements. So when I go out on the future, I must bring my senior brother with me." After saying that, she laughed. Chuckle, chuckle, chuckle. Lin Changqing also laughed. As a formation master, Chen Ziya is such a smart person. She will definitely learn some experience from this matter, but she thinks it is unnecessary to say. Lin Changqing stopped talking about this matter and turned to talk about the 2 spirit beast cubs he had just bought. Junior sister, what are you going to do with this purple electric marten? Seeing that Chen Ziya liked this purple electric marten cub so much, Lin Changqing asked curiously. Chen Ziya smiled and said, I plan to sign a master-servant contract with it, and raise it like my senior brother, so that it can help me in the future. After saying that, she remembered that she had not yet returned the spirit stones that Lin Changqing had paid for her, so she took out the spirit stones from her storage bag and returned them to Lin Changqing. Lin Changqing knew that she was a wealthy woman, so she did not refuse and took the spirit stones back. And Lin Changqing happened to have a few empty spirit beast bags on him, so he gave a better-looking one to Chen Ziya. Otherwise the purple electric marten cub would not have been placed, and it would be too ostentatious to always hold it in his hand. Looking at the sky outside, he estimated the approximate time, which was about 3 p.m. He asked Chen Ziya again, Junior sister, it's still early now, do you still want to go to the gambling stone shop to have a look? If you want to go, the 2 of us should change our appearance before going, otherwise we might be met by those people in the morning. Chen Ziya nodded quickly and said, of course we have to go, then we can sign a contract with this little guy after we come back from the gambling stone shop. But the problem is that I don't know how to change my appearance, and I don't have a mask or anything. What should I do? Lin Changqing thought for a while and said, I still have an unused hidden spirit mask that I can lend to you. But this face is of a man, so you need to change into a set of men's clothes to fit you. My clothes may be a little too long for you. How about I go buy you 2 sets of men's clothes first? Chen Ziya shook her head and said, no need to be so troublesome. Brother, please give me a set of your clothes and I will just make some minor changes. Lin Changqing nodded and gave Chen Ziya the unused hidden spirit mask and a set of his own clothes. Then he went back to his room, changed into a set of clothes and put on the Gaudishua mask. Then he went to the living room to wait for Chen Ziya. After a while, a white-faced young man with an ordinary appearance and a shorter stature than Lin Changqing walked out of the room. Seeing Lin Changqing, he said proudly, my younger brother Zhang Dehao, good-looking, nice to meet brother Gao Deshui. After saying that, she immediately started to laugh non-stop, but it was a pity that her voice was a female one, which immediately exposed her identity. Lin Changqing frowned and forgot the voice, so he said to Chen Ziya, Junior brother Zhang Dehao, your throat is uncomfortable, so don't talk, just let me handle everything. Hearing Lin Changqing call her Zhang Dehao, Chen Ziya couldn't help laughing again, but fortunately she quickly restrained herself and didn't make any sound. Obviously she was in a state of throat discomfort. Lin Changqing nodded and said nothing more, and then the 2 of them left the Pinyin Hotel. They started to walk in the direction of the gambling stone shop. They had been wandering around the streets and alleys in the morning, and they already knew where the gambling stone shop was. Now they just went straight to the destination. It didn't take long before they arrived at the end of the place. There was nothing to say, so they walked in directly. Chapter 152, Strengthening and Advancement. As soon as he entered the door, a shop assistant came up to him, but Lin Changqing waved his hand, indicating that he didn't need an introduction and could just look at it himself. The assistant didn't force him, and after a salute, he left. This gambling stone shop is quite large, and there are more than a dozen customers inside who are selecting raw stones, but it has nothing to do with Lin Changqing, and he can't care about it now. As soon as he stepped into the store, Lin Changqing was shocked by the scene in front of him. More than a dozen halos of different sizes and different lights and arcs came into his eyes at the same time. Lin Changqing couldn't believe it was real. He tried hard to adjust his mood and first checked the nearest halo next to him. It was a dark red halo. According to past experience, red is a top-grade fire spirit stone. What does this dark red represent? Could it be a top-grade fire spirit stone? Is this possible? Moreover, 10 top-grade raw stones appeared at once. I didn't even dare to think about it, so it should be basically impossible. It is most likely that it is a medium-grade spirit stone of the fire attribute. This is very likely. There are 15 halos here, 13 of which are relatively dark, and 2 are halos of normal colors as before. First, take the 2 raw stones with normal color halos in your hands. One is large and the other is small. The large one is estimated to be about 100 kilograms, and the small one is about the size of a human head, estimated to be 30 to 40 kilograms. I didn't take too many raw stones with dark color halos. I chose one that was also about 100 kilograms, and another smaller one that was estimated to be 70 to 80 kilograms. There are 4 in total. I didn't dare to take more, mainly because I didn't want to attract too much attention. 3 or 4 at a time is just right, and it won't be too high profile. After I made my own choice, I had time to pay attention to Chen Ziya and saw that she was studying a raw stone. I walked to her side and asked, "Junior brother Zhang, have you made your choice?" Chen Ziya nodded and pointed to the raw stone she was studying, indicating that she had chosen this one. Lin Changqing glanced at the raw stone she pointed to, but didn't see the halo, so he knew it was definitely going to collapse. But it's good to let her know that gambling on stones has risks. If she bets every time, it will harm her. Fortunately, this rough stone is not big, so it shouldn't take many spirit stones. So Lin Changqing just nodded, which was considered to be approval of her choice. Without saying anything more, the two called the boss to settle the bill. Chen Ziya's rough stone cost 220 spirit stones. Lin Changqing's 4 rough stones cost a total of 1,780 spirit stones. After the two paid the spirit stones, they declined the boss's suggestion to help with the stone cutting, and left with a few rough stones. They didn't go anywhere else. The two of them returned to the suite of Ping'an Hotel along the original route. Junior brother Zhang, we will leave the market early tomorrow, at 3:45 a.m. We should be able to avoid a lot of trouble with our current appearance. Chen Ziya smiled and said, "Okay, I understand. I'll go and contract the little guy first. See you tomorrow morning, senior brother Gao." Lin Changqing nodded, then returned to his room and began to check around. After confirming that it was safe, he activated the small 5-element maze array. He sat down and thought about what he had encountered today. The first thing was the local foundation building family power, the young man of the Bai family. It would be easier for them to go out tomorrow. If they dared to cause trouble again, Lin Changqing would not mind sending him off. To be honest, if it were not for the cultivators in the middle and late stages of the foundation building stage, Lin Changqing would not care too much. They were just a few key refining stage cultivators. It would not take much time to clean up. The second thing was about the black tiger cub that he bought this morning. Lin Changqing did not plan to raise a spirit beast anymore. At least this kind of large spiritual beast that consumes too many resources is not considered to be raised again, unless it is of particularly excellent qualifications and has a very high upper limit. This black tiger cub is the most suitable now, so it is better to give it to Lin Changqing. She is at the age of being lively and active. Having such a cute spiritual beast to accompany her should make her much happier. So Lin Changqing did not plan to contract this black tiger cub, and decided to raise it first. After returning to Jiufeng Mountain after a while, he would give this little guy to Lin Changqing. The third thing is the 4 pieces of raw stones that I just bought. The raw stones with normal color halos can be ignored for the time being. Anyway, we all know what is inside. As for the 2 pieces of raw stones with dark color halos, we need to open them first to see if they are the medium quality raw stones that I guessed. Take out the smaller raw stone and the special stone opening instrument. Choose a place that is easier to open and start polishing. He is now experienced and the speed of opening the stone is still quite fast. Soon, a little blue color appeared in the polished area, and it also emitted the fluctuations of a medium-grade spiritual stone. Seeing this, Lin Changqing knew what was going on. He took out another piece of raw stone and polished it. The same process was followed. Soon, a little red appeared, and it also emitted the spiritual pressure of a medium-grade spiritual stone. Now it can be confirmed that the dark-colored halo represents a medium-grade raw stone. In other words, after absorbing the good deeds of the 3-color relic, his innate merit has been strengthened or advanced. The lower-level spiritual objects that could not be seen before can now be seen, which can be regarded as an improvement in ability. However, Lin Changqing felt that it did not seem to have much effect. It may be that he had not found the correct method yet. However, the merit die can be strengthened or advanced, which is definitely a good thing. The 2 unpolished pieces of the 4 newly purchased raw stones will be thrown directly into the deep pit for Lin Changqing to absorb and digest. 2 pieces of medium-grade spirit stone ore with a cut, keep them for now, and when you need spirit stones in the future, take them to the gambling stone shop to exchange for spirit stones. Today's harvest, even if it is processed here, it is too early to rest. So this time should not be wasted. Use it to practice the Thunder Sutra. It is estimated that in about half a month, you can open another Thunder acupoint. But before practicing, you have to deal with some trivial matters first. After entering the inner space, interact with the enthusiastic Lu Yaoqiang and Lu Xiaoling for a while, feed them with this soul-raising pill, and let them play by themselves. I went to the place where Lu Xiaoling was sleeping again. It has changed a lot. Its body has become much larger. Fortunately, everything is normal. It is estimated that it should wake up in 2 or 3 days. The last time Lu Yaoqiang was promoted to the second level, it took about 15 or 16 days, and Lu Xiaoling should be about the same time. Seeing that it is fine, Lin Changqing walked away. I originally wanted to buy some materials and build a yard, but Chen Ziya was always by my side, so it was not very convenient to do these things. I could only wait a little longer. There were also the 60 sealed containers for winemaking. They took up too much space in the storage bag, so I put them in the inner space this time. Anyway, they will be used here in the future, including the wine yeast and some small tools given as gifts, all of which were left here. After finishing these, I walked to the edge of the deep pit and threw 2 pieces of high-quality spirit stone ore into it. After a while, a trace of joy came from the bottom of my heart. This was Lin Changliu's feedback to Lin Changqing. This feedback was much clearer than before, proving that the Earth Soul Fruit was still quite useful. When the Earth Soul Fruit matured again in a while, it would still be given priority to Lin Changliu. I planned to plant flowers on 50 acres of land, but now I have only planted 10 acres. The remaining 40 acres will be planted slowly when I get back to the passenger ship and have time. After a round of inspection, I didn't find any problems, so I left the space. He fed all the spirit beasts in the spirit beast bracelet, including the new black tiger cub, and also got some monster meat to feed it. Then he could finally practice with peace of mind. He practiced a Thunder Sutra, and the Thunder Spirit began to stimulate the acupuncture points. The familiar soreness, numbness, swelling, pain, and various feelings attacked Lin Changqing again. Soon, after 2 hours, the sweat under Lin Changqing's sitting position had formed a pool of water, and his face, arms, and body were covered with sweat. It was still the same operation, releasing the purple crystal scorpion group, hiding around to protect him. Then who released Su Mingyang? Now she has experience, and her emotions seem very natural when she suddenly changes the space environment. She won't be too surprised, and she has some tacit understanding with Lin Changqing. After Lin Changqing cleaned his body outside, he returned to the magic circle and began to enjoy the massage service provided by Su Mingyang. Moreover, Su Mingyang had massaged Lin Changqing 2 or 3 times, and had accumulated some experience, so Lin Changqing was more and more satisfied with her skills. Chapter 153, Chasing. The next morning, Lin Changqing got up early and completed the basic training. After finishing the cleaning, he began to collect the array disc of the small 5-element maze array. Then he thought of waiting for Chen Ziya in the living room, but he didn't expect that she was already there. That was even better. After saying hello, the two went downstairs together to return dozens of spiritual stones. Then the two did not dare to delay and walked straight to the exit of the market. At this time, there were still relatively few cultivators entering and leaving the market. They got on Chen Ziya's flying boat and flew to the passenger ship landing field 30 miles away. Just after flying for 10 miles, there was a loud boom from behind, followed by a violent fluctuation of spiritual energy. Lin Changqing hurriedly turned his head and saw that it was actually a cultivator who was flying away on a sword, and behind him, there were 3 cultivators driving the spiritual boat together to chase him. And the 2 parties who were chasing and fleeing were both known to Lin Changqing. The one who fled in front was Lin Changqing's neighbor, the young cultivator who wanted to find Lin Changqing to go to the market together. One of the 3 cultivators chasing behind was the young Bai family member who had an argument with Lin Changqing. At this time, both sides saw Lin Changqing and the other person. The cultivator who was running away in front was the first to ask for help. 2 Taoist friends in front, help me, save me. There is a robbery cultivator sneaking up on me. One of the cultivators chasing behind also shouted, 2 Taoist friends in front, please don't meddle in other people's business. We are dealing with him because we have a grudge against him, not a robbery cultivator. Don't listen to his nonsense. Lin Changqing didn't want to get into trouble the most, so he lowered his voice and shouted to the young cultivator, get out. Solve your own problems and don't involve us. If you come closer, I will take action. Unexpectedly, The young cultivator seemed to have not heard Lin Changqing's warning and was still getting closer and closer to them desperately. Lin Changqing immediately turned to Chen Ziya beside him and said, "Junior sister, don't worry. It's okay. We will land in the woods below immediately. Avoid them and let them fight to their heart's content." Chen Ziya nodded and said with a smile, "I'm not afraid as long as I'm with you. No matter how many of these characters come, they will all be easily dealt with by you." After that, he immediately pressed down the bow of the flying boat and rushed to the woods below. As soon as the two landed and put away the flying boat, Lin Changqing pulled Chen Ziya to the inside of the woods. Of course, he must have released the purple crystal scorpion while running, and his consciousness was always paying attention to the dynamics behind him. Unexpectedly, the young monk did not fly towards the passenger ship landing field, but landed behind them and was still approaching them. It was obvious that he was determined to drag them into the water. Seeing him like this, Lin Changqing was furious. In his heart, he had already sentenced him to death. He was despicable for diverting the trouble to others. At this time, the three monks of the Bai family also landed on the ground and approached the young monk. The young monk was very anxious and shouted again, "My two Taoist friends. I don't know them. They are the first to come to this place. They are robbery cultivators. I beg you two Taoist friends to join hands with me to fight against these robbery cultivators. I will definitely reward you handsomely after the success." Among the three people, it was the monk who spoke just now. "Thank you, my two Taoist friends. We will leave after dealing with this kid. Please rest assured." Unfortunately, Lin Changqing didn't listen to what they were saying at all. He still dragged Chen Ziya to move into the woods. Soon the purple crystal scorpions were released. The two leaned against a big tree and carefully defended. Now the two have pasted 3 defense talismans on their bodies, and the defense magic tools are also ready. Lin Changqing held the thunder horn in his hand, and Chen Ziya held the god-breaking crossbow. In fact, it didn't need to be so troublesome, because the purple crystal scorpion group had already surrounded the 4 of them. But in order to paralyze them, the necessary actions had to be taken. At this time, the two sides had already started fighting. The young monk dealt with the attack of 3 flying swords alone. Fortunately, his body skills were extraordinary. Although he was in a hurry, he could still cope with it in a short time. Seeing that the two were still standing by and watching, with no intention of helping, the young cultivator was very anxious. No matter what, in order to have a chance of survival, he could only reveal his identity. He said directly, "I am Qi Zhanfei of the Qi family, the Purple Mansion family of Dongyang Prefecture. I am the 27th in my family. My great-grandfather is a Purple Mansion cultivator. Please help me, fellow Taoists. The Qi family will definitely reward you handsomely, and maybe even help you build your foundation." After hearing what Qi Zhanfei said, Lin Changqing and the others didn't feel anything, but just knew that he was going to drag them into the water. However, the 3 cultivators of the Bai family were already very anxious. If the news leaked this time, the Bai family would be in danger of being destroyed immediately. The 3 looked at each other and reached a consensus in an instant. They immediately showed their full strength, and the speed of the flying sword attack also increased a bit. One of the cultivators also took out a dozen talismans, activated them and hit Qi Zhanfei all at once. This time, no matter how extraordinary his skills were, it was useless. Although Qi Zhanfei tried his best to dodge, he eventually fell under the attack of the magic spell and the flying sword. After killing Qi Zhanfei, the 3 flying swords turned around and attacked Lin Changqing and the others. Without saying anything, it was obvious that the 3 of them realized the seriousness of the matter and planned to kill them to silence them. However, Lin Changqing was well prepared for this situation. As soon as he thought about it, the purple crystal scorpion immediately launched an attack. A shrill scream scared the other 2, but they soon experienced this extreme pain. Lin Changqing and the other 2 resisted the attack of the 3 flying swords, and then there was no more. Chen Ziya's god-breaking crossbow was ready, but there was no chance to show its power. The 3 had lost the ability to resist and fell to the ground twitching, but Lin Changqing did not kill them immediately. Instead, he stripped off all their equipment, tied them up tightly, and put them all separately into the spirit beast bracelet. They collected all the things on the young monk named Qi Zhanfei, as well as several magic tools that fell on the ground, and then used the fireball technique to clean up the scene. They recalled all the purple crystal scorpions and scanned the entire scene with their spiritual sense again. After confirming that nothing was missed, The two of them quickly left the place and flew to the passenger ship landing area. From the beginning to the end of the incident, the whole process was very fast. In less than half an hour, some were dead and all the living were captured, so it did not delay Lin Changqing and his crew's boarding time. Chen Ziya's spiritual boat flew quickly and arrived at the passenger ship landing area without any danger. After showing the credentials, the two of them successfully returned to Chen Ziya's room. They both breathed a sigh of relief. They didn't expect that they would encounter such a thing after setting off a little earlier. "Junior sister, let's make a pot of green jade tea first," Lin Changqing said to Chen Ziya. Chen Ziya nodded and took out the set of white jade tea sets, while Lin Changqing took out a box of green jade tea. After appreciating Chen Ziya's tea art, the two of them each held a cup of spiritual tea and tasted it carefully. "What are you going to do with the 3 by-family cultivators, senior brother?" Chen Ziya looked at Lin Changqing and asked. "How else can we deal with them? Release them one by one and ask what happened, but the 3 of them obviously want to kill us to silence us, so I definitely can't let them go, otherwise there will be endless troubles. I can only..." Lin Changqing didn't say anything else. Chen Ziya nodded, and naturally understood what he meant. "It's really too dangerous to go out during the key refining period. That key's Hanfei is an example. Fortunately, my younger sister has my senior brother to accompany and protect her, otherwise I would definitely not dare to go out," Chen Ziya sighed. "It's okay, junior sister will soon build a foundation, and it will be much safer to go out on the future," Lin Changqing comforted. Chen Ziya shook her head and said nothing. At this time, the passenger ship they were riding on had already set off. After drinking a pot of green jade tea, Lin Changqing said goodbye and left and returned to his room. He checked the room out of habit, and after confirming that there were no problems, he took out the small 5 elements maze array and set it up. Chapter 154 Go find it in the void. Entered and activated the magic circle, then released 24 purple crystal scorpions, which hide around Lin Changqing to protect him from accidents. Lin Changqing was going to ask the 3 by-family cultivators what was going on. Because there is a secret method of tracing bloodlines in the world of cultivation, Lin Changqing had to find out the reasons and get rid of them before the people in their family found out and confirmed their disappearance. Now, it is not convenient to use fireballs, but this is not difficult for Lin Changqing. Lin Changqing has already thought of a way. He's going to throw the 3 by-family cultivators into the deep pit in the inner space. If the by-family has the ability, they can go to the void to look for them. The first one to be released was the young cultivator who had an argument with Lin Changqing. Because it has been a while since they were captured, the extreme pain caused by the sting of the amethyst scorpion has eased, so when they were released from the spirit beast bracelet, they were still in good spirits, and they even threatened Lin Changqing without knowing their own limitations, asking Lin Changqing to stop interfering and quickly release them. There was no other way. Lin Changqing could only let the amethyst scorpion appear again to help him face the reality, so that he would not think he was so great. Another shot was given to the root of his thigh, so after a shrill scream, he finally woke up completely and begged for mercy. It was really a bone-splitting thing, and he had to be beaten up again before he would be honest. Lin Changqing began to ask questions expressionlessly. "What's your name? Why are you chasing that monk?" Knowing that he would suffer more if he didn't answer honestly, he could only answer, "My name is Bai Hongao," because that monk didn't cooperate with our inspection. He was still thinking about escaping. He must be the one we are looking for, so we kept chasing him. Lin Changqing continued to ask, "Is this market managed by the Bai family? Why would others check you? Who are you looking for?" Bai Hongao hesitated for a moment, and still said honestly, "No, of course the market is managed by the Qingai sect. We are looking for a monk who scolded me yesterday in the street stall square." Lin Changqing was speechless. It turned out that this bastard was looking for him, and his unlucky neighbor was his scapegoat. But that person also had problems. When encountering problems, he would do whatever it took to drag the two of them into the water. In Lin Changqing's opinion, he deserved to die. In fact, if the unlucky guy just now had kept flying forward and insisted on flying to the landing field of the passenger ship, the 3 cultivators of the Bai family might not have the courage to chase him, and the unlucky guy might not have died. But he didn't expect that he met Lin Changqing and the other 2. He thought he had grabbed a life-saving straw, but he lost his life instead. It can only be said that he was too naive. Looking at this prisoner who had been thinking about it all the time, he decided to squeeze him dry. So he said, "Now you are my prisoner. Do you have any special skills, or do you have anything or information that can redeem your life in my hands? Bai Hongyu thought hard, and finally said to Lin Changqing, I don't have any special skills, but my parents must have a lot of spirit stones. You can contact them and ask them to use spirit stones to redeem me. Lin Changqing couldn't help rolling his eyes after hearing this. I don't know if this kid is smart or stupid. He can actually say such a thing. It seems that he really can't squeeze out any more water. Lin Changqing knocked him unconscious again and put him back into the spirit beast bracelet. After thinking about it, I decided to release another one to ask, so as not to be fooled by Bai Hongyu. I released the monk who was often responsible for shouting from the spirit beast bracelet. I didn't expect that this guy was a coward. He begged for mercy as soon as he came out. It seems that he also knew that he was in danger this time. Lin Changqing didn't care about that and asked expressionlessly, What's your name? Why are you chasing that cultivator? The cultivator answered honestly, My name is Bai Hongyu, and I'm a clerk in the Bai family's shop in Daniyang Market. I don't know why I'm chasing him, but yesterday my cousin Bai Hongyu came back and said that he was bullied in the street stall square, so he asked me and Bai Hongyu to help him teach someone a lesson. When we got to the square, we couldn't find anyone, so the three of us agreed to wait at the gate of the market in the morning to see if that person would come out. Later, Bai Hongyu said that the cultivator must have disguised himself and looked a bit like him, so we chased him and intercepted him, asking him to check for us, but he threw a yin li hu and ran away. Fortunately, we have been on guard against him, otherwise there would be heavy casualties. So no matter whether he is the person Bai Hongyu is looking for, we must catch him now to vent our anger. Lin Changqing listened and nodded. The man's words were more specific, which also let Lin Changqing know what happened. Lin Changqing continued to ask, You are my captive now. Which of the 100 arts of cultivating immortals do you know? Or is there anything or information that can redeem your life in my hands? Bai Hongyu thought for a while and said cautiously, I don't seem to know any of the 100 arts of cultivating immortals, but I know there is a treasure there that can redeem my life with its information. Okay, then you tell me. If it is really valuable to me, I will keep my promise and let you go, Lin Changqing said. Now Bai Hongyu can only try his best and said, Our shopkeeper has a token in his hand, which is the entry certificate of Zushan's secret realm. Lin Changqing's heart moved. This is the second time he heard about this Zushan secret realm. But the minimum requirement for entering this Zushan secret realm is the Purple Mansion stage. Now Lin Changqing is only in the key refining stage, and he can't do anything even if he knows it, so this news is useless to Lin Changqing. He asked Bai Hongyu, Do you think that the minimum entry requirement is a secret realm token of the Purple Mansion period? Will it be useful to me? Bai Hongyu heard Lin Changqing say this and knew that this person was not satisfied with the news. So he could only beg, Please, let me go. I have nothing to redeem myself. Please let me go. I promise to keep my mouth shut. Another wishful thinking, wanting to kill others to silence them, but actually asking others to let him go. Lin Changqing ignored him and knocked him out directly, then put him into the spirit beast bracelet and let him go to accompany Bai Hongyu. He also released Bai Hongyu's last companion and asked him, and the answers he got were similar, proving that Bai Hongyu did not lie to Lin Changqing. The last two people, one also had no special skills, and the other knew a little bit of refining skills, but it was useless for Lin Changqing now, so he decided to deal with all three of them together. Not daring to delay too much time, he immediately entered the space and appeased the enthusiastic Lu Yaoqiang and Lu Xiaoling a little. He immediately came to the edge of the deep pit, grabbed one from the spirit beast bracelet, and threw one into the deep pit. After a few screams, they were all dealt with. It is indeed very convenient to deal with it this way, but I don't know if Lin Changqing will mind. A faint feeling of indifference came from the bottom of my heart. I knew that this was Lin Changqing telling me that it didn't matter, so Lin Changqing was relieved. I decided that if there is such a thing in the future, I will deal with it in this way. This matter came to an end. Yesterday, 2 pieces of high-quality spirit stone ore were thrown into the deep pit. Lin Changqing should have absorbed and digested them. When I came in just now, I was too hurried and didn't pay attention to the head. I didn't know how much the space had increased. It happened that I had time now, so I measured it by the way. After a lot of trouble, I finally counted it out. It increased by more than 100 acres. Now there are a total of 1,125 acres. The land area in the space has finally officially exceeded 1,000. I took a satisfied tour and saw the place marked 2 days ago for planting flowers. Decided to turn over another 10 acres of land today, do it as soon as you think of it, and cast the earth covering technique. It takes about 3/4 of an hour to turn over 1 acre of land. 10 acres of land plus the time to restore spiritual energy, about 6 hours to complete. Take out a portion of flower seeds. Lin Changqing sowed them in the front, and called Liu Yaoqiang and Lu Zialing to be responsible for pressing the flower seeds into the soil in the back. After it was completed, cast the spiritual rain technique again, which was considered completed. Flowers are ordinary plants, so there is no need to cast the birth-inducing technique, let them grow naturally here. He fed Liu Yaoqiang and Lu Zialing each a spiritual pill as a reward for their help just now, and then exited the space. Chapter 155 Big Surprise. After staying in Lin Changliu's inner space for more than 6 hours, it was now dark outside. But it was too early to rest now, so we had to make use of this little time. However, practicing various thunder methods did make too much noise, including the 5 elements escape technique, so the best choice was to practice the Thunder Sutra. Of course, the water control technique could also be practiced, but Lin Changqing still liked to practice the Thunder Sutra, where he could clearly see the progress he had made. He got into position and circulated the qi in the body. Soon, the familiar feelings spread throughout his body again, and soon 2 hours had passed. Sweat covered his body again. Just like last time, he released a purple crystal scorpion to protect him invisibly, and then released Su Miniang. Now Su Miniang was used to it. After greeting Lin Changqing, she just waited for him to clean up his body and then gave him a muscle massage. Su Miniang's skills were getting better and better. After the massage, her whole body felt much more relaxed. After the two talked for a few more words, he sent her back to the spirit bracelet. Now Lin Changqing is basically certain that Su Miniang will not attack him. At least, through sensing the silver rune, he did not sense any killing intention towards Lin Changqing. There are only some relatively normal emotions, which can be regarded as some initial recognition and trust from Lin Changqing. When this journey is over, if there is no problem, he will send her into the space to help Lin Changqing take care of the inner space. The practice and muscle massage took more than 2 hours, and the rest of the time was just for rest. The next morning, after Lin Changqing finished his practice, he thought of the 4 storage bags he harvested yesterday, which were still not cleaned up here. It is estimated that Chen Ziya has almost finished her practice and touched the restriction on the next door. Not long after, Chen Ziya opened the door and let Lin Changqing in. The two sat down as host and guest. Chen Ziya began to take out the tea set and make tea for Lin Changqing. After appreciating Chen Ziya's tea art, the two of them each held a cup of fragrant tea and tasted it slowly. "Brother, how is the spirit beast cub you bought yesterday? Have you signed the contract?" Chen Ziya asked curiously. "There is no contract, so I'll keep it for now. I want to give it to my sister when I get home. She should like it." Chen Ziya couldn't help but envy her and said, "Brother, you are so good to your sister. You gave her a beauty pill and a spiritual pet. It would be nice if Ziya had a brother like this." Lin Changqing smiled and said, "Junior sister, just be content. You already have your grandmother and great-grandmother, so you don't have to envy others. I guess my sister might envy you." Chen Ziya shook her head and said nothing. After Lin Changqing drank a cup of tea, he thought about the business he had come for this time and took out 4 storage bags from his arms. He said, "This is the spoils of yesterday. Let's see what good things are in it together." Chen Ziya readily agreed. Now she was very experienced in refining storage bags to check the spoils. She took the storage bag and began to refine it, and then poured out everything in it. Soon, 2 storage bags for each person were refined, and all the things were poured together. First, sort all the things into different categories. There are more than 9,000 low-grade spirit stones and 10 medium-grade spirit stones. It is estimated that most of these spirit stones belong to Qi Hanfei, the unlucky neighbor of Lin Changqing. There are also a total of more than a dozen bottles of different kinds of elixirs, which are commonly used and nothing is particularly precious. 8 first-level medium-high-grade magic tools, both offensive and defensive, and a first-level top-grade water-based flying sword. Unfortunately, there is a family mark on it. This mark looks like a variation of the word Qi at first glance. This should be the symbol representing the Qi family. This must be handed over to junior sister Hu to deal with it when we return to Qinghai sect before we can use it with confidence. 4 identity jade cards. These things are useless, and they must be dealt with quickly. Collect them together first and throw them all into the deep pit in the inner space. In addition, a body method secret book was found, called Dancing Willow Steps with the Wind. After flipping through it, it is a small-range teleportation method. It should be the method that Qi Hanfei used to avoid the attacks of 3 flying swords yesterday. Lin Changqing was a little tempted when he saw it, but after thinking about it, he decided to forget it. He already had a footwork, and there were too many things to practice now, and he couldn't take care of them all. It's better to put it in the family's sutra pavilion to enrich the family's heritage and see if anyone is interested and go to learn it. The next thing is some practice notes and sundries, including clothes. They are classified and useless things like clothes and personal items are put together. They will be dealt with together later. Now the only thing left is 20 or 30 jade boxes. The two of them opened them all together. Unexpectedly, they opened a big surprise. It was a very large piece of third-level medium-grade Lingxi gold. It happened that both of them had seen it before, so they could recognize it immediately. Seeing this third-level spiritual material, both of them laughed, and Lin Changqing couldn't close his mouth. This piece of Lingxi gold came at the right time. Lin Changqing was planning to switch to the 5 Elements Chaos Sutra. When he reached the Purple Mansion stage, he could use magic weapons. So when he was in the Foundation Establishment stage, he should start collecting materials for refining magic weapons. Lin Changqing's 5 Elements Chaos Sutra records a method for refining a set of 5-element magic swords, which can form a 5-element sword formation. In fact, they have seen this set of 5-element flying swords. They are the 5 magic swords that several people obtained in the secret realm, and later they were divided up by several people on the boat. Lin Changqing has already included this set of 5-element flying swords in the range of candidates for his natal magic weapon, so this piece of Lingxi gold is just right. Such a large piece is several times larger than the one in Lin Changqing's storage bag, enough for Lin Changqing to use on 5 natal flying swords. Some of the other jade boxes are empty, and there are 7 or 8 containing spiritual medicines, but they are far inferior to the third-level spiritual materials. Lin Changqing spoke first. "Junior sister, let's divide these things equally." Chen Ziyi smiled, shook her head and said, "I didn't do anything this time. How can I divide them equally? I feel ashamed. If you really want to give me some, just give me the Lingxi gold that you gave to me last time." Lin Changqing thought about it and felt that this was a good idea, because Chen Ziyi didn't get any Lingxi gold last time. He took out the Lingxi gold from his storage bag and handed it to Chen Ziyi, who happily accepted it. The volume of these two materials is more than 5 or 6 times different, which is enough for Lin Changqing to use on 5 or 6 magic weapons. He solemnly put this third-level spiritual material in the jade box and then put it in the storage bag. It feels that this third-level Lingxi gold should be Qi Hanfei's thing. The 3 poor monks of the Bai family should not be able to take out such a good thing. But why would a little monk at the 8th level of the Qi refining stage have a third-level spiritual material in his storage bag? Could it be that he was responsible for delivering these third-level spiritual materials to somewhere this time? He still had to be careful, in case the Qi family found out that Qi Hanfei was dead and send high-level cultivators to check. Then he lived next door to him, and he didn't know if he would be suspected or something, so it would be more appropriate to put all the gains this time in the space. After thinking it over, he collected all the other things on the ground. He originally wanted to share the 10 medium-grade spiritual stones with Chen Ziyi, but she still refused. Lin Changqing didn't force it. He remembered that in the Jiang secret realm, he also gave her a lot of medium-grade spiritual stones, which should be enough for her. After drinking this pot of spiritual tea, Lin Changqing said goodbye and went back. Because it was still early, he took out the Zuinun heavy water bottle for sacrifice and practiced the water control technique. A few hours passed quickly. The 2 hours before resting were the time to practice the Thunder Sutra. Of course, he also enjoyed the muscle massage service provided by Su Miniyang for free. The next few days were almost like this. In the morning, the two of them gathered together to drink tea, and then went back to practice separately. Except for one day when he accompanied Chen Ziyi to visit the first-floor street stall square, he did not go out again. Lin Changqing also took the time to turn over the 50 acres of flower planting land planned in the inner space, and planted all the flower seeds. Soon the space will be full of various flowers, so the task of finding a nest of spirit bees must be put on the process earlier, otherwise these flowers will be wasted. When we arrive at Kitayan Mansion tomorrow, We must pay more attention. Because the passenger ship will arrive at Kitayan Mansion around noon tomorrow, and will also stay for 2 days, Lin Changqing has already discussed it with Chen Ziya. As soon as the passenger ship arrived at the landing field of Kitayan Mansion, the two set off for Kitayan Market. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156, Merit True Eye Right Twitching Disaster? The next morning, after Lin Changqing completed the basic training, he sat in the living room. Today was very strange. Since I woke up in the morning, I felt uncomfortable all over. Now that I have finished training and am sitting here, my right eye has started to jump. What is going on? He is a body refining cultivator, although he has not yet officially entered the door. But he is still a person who has practiced body. It is unexpected that his right eye is uncontrollable and jumps on its own. Moreover, Lin Changqing rubbed it for a long time, but did not get any relief or improvement. His right eye was still jumping. Lin Changqing was now a little upset by the twitching of his right eye, and decided to make a pot of green jade tea to calm his mind. After a few cups of green jade tea, Lin Changqing suddenly remembered a saying in his previous life, that is, the left eye jumps for wealth, and the right eye jumps for disaster. There is also his own innate merit true eye, but the gift given by the heaven and earth is not comparable to those ordinary acquired spiritual eyes and acquired true eyes. Combine the two aspects. Lin Changqing boldly speculated, could this be a hint from the innate merit true eye? This is the real function of the innate merit true eye after being strengthened or promoted? As for the dark halos that he saw, they were just additional functions? What if it was a disaster? Lin Changqing listed all the possible disasters that might be encountered on the passenger ship of Wanbao Pavilion. Now that he was on the passenger ship, he was a customer of Wanbao Pavilion, and his personal life would be protected to a certain extent, but it was not absolute. For example, if someone suddenly attacked the passenger ship and shot it down, in this case, he could only take care of himself, and who would care whether he was a customer or not? But if it was really unfortunate, and this happened, Wanbao Pavilion would definitely investigate it to the end. I believe that with their ability to cross the continent, they are absolutely capable of finding the people who attack them. Those people will definitely die, so the possibility of being attacked is really low. It is also impossible for a high-level flying monster to descend and attack. After all, they have just experienced a beast tide, and both sides are recuperating. They should not easily provoke each other in a short period of time. The last one is that a high-level cultivator suddenly descended. This is the most likely possibility. If a high-level cultivator suddenly descended, and the true eye of merit reminded him that he was in danger, then the only thing related to him was Keys Hanfai's matter, but he had clearly sent all the things related to him to the inner space, so how could he still be in danger? Lin Changqing was puzzled and simply opened his storage bag to check if there was anything missing. When he saw the things in his storage bag, he suddenly realized it. It was his rich wealth that caused the trouble. A small cultivator in the key refining stage actually had so many spirit stones. Not counting those high-grade spirit stones, there were more than 100,000 medium and low-grade spirit stones. His cultivation was only in the key refining stage. Who else could he rob if not you? In addition, there were precious things such as the 3 treasures spirit beast bracelet and the purple crystal scorpion. If he encountered a high-level cultivator with evil intentions, he would definitely take action. Thinking of this, Lin Changqing broke out in a cold sweat. He quickly started to organize, leaving only 700 or 800 low-grade spirit stones, 2 high-grade magic tools, 1 for attack and 1 for defense, some elixirs and some personal belongings in the storage bag. He also deliberately kept the 2 identity jade cards given by his great-grandmother, including Godishua's identity jade card. This thing can also provide a little protection for himself when necessary. Then he sent the rest of the things, including the Sanbao Spirit Beast bracelet and the Spirit Beasts inside, into the inner space, leaving only an ordinary Spirit Beast bag, and then put Shuai in it. It is very magical that after Lin Changqing did these things, his right eye really stopped twitching. Could it be that the merit true eye is telling himself that the preparations he had just made are effective? Thinking of this, Lin Changqing felt a little more at ease and decided to go and stay with Chen Ziya. In case they were all wrong and something catastrophic happened, It would be convenient for them to take care of each other nearby. He put away the array plate of the small 5-element maze array in the room, scanned it with his spiritual sense, and confirmed that there was nothing missing before he went to the next room to trigger the restriction on Chen Ziya's door. Soon Chen Ziya came to open the door and let Lin Changqing in. Now the two of them were very familiar with each other, so there was no polite talk. Lin Changqing said directly, "Junior sister, when I got up this morning, I felt uneasy all over, as if something was going to happen. I thought about it and thought that only the third-level spiritual gold that Qi Hanfei was carrying could alarm high-level cultivators. So, I have hidden some eye-catching things. Do you want me to hide a small piece of spiritual gold on you first?" Chen Ziya was a little confused by Lin Changqing's words. It took her some time to fully digest what Lin Changqing meant and react. After hesitating for a while, he said, "Brother, can you be sure that something will happen with just a little feeling?" Lin Changqing said with certainty, "Yes, this is my talent. It's a bit like being able to sense good and bad luck, but it has never been wrong." Lin Changqing began to lie with his eyes open. But Chen Ziya still believed in Lin Changqing very much. She nodded and said, "Thank you, brother, for trusting Ziya so much and telling me your talent, such a hidden secret. I said that brother is so powerful, there must be something extraordinary. I didn't expect it to be this." After that, he took out a jade box from the storage bag and handed it to Lin Changqing. "Without opening it, you know that there is that small piece of Lingxi gold inside." Chen Ziya said again, "But even if we hide the things on the boat, they will be found by the consciousness of high-level monks. Then it will be difficult to explain. What should we do then?" Lin Changqing shook his head and said, "No, don't worry. I have a special treasure that can avoid the detection of consciousness, just like the hidden spirit mask I borrowed from you. It can cover a palm-sized object, just right for hiding a storage bag." Chen Ziya nodded and said nothing more. Lin Changqing talked to her, then went back to his room, rearranged the maze array, and sent Chen Ziya's box into the inner space. Hesitated for a while, and in a short time, he should not enter the inner space again, so he took the array back again. Although this was troublesome, it was safer. Back in Chen Ziya's room, the two began to drink tea and chat, actually waiting for what Lin Changqing said to happen. Soon, without any danger, an hour passed, and it would not be long before they arrived at the passenger ship landing field of Qian Mansion. Suddenly, the defense formation on the passenger ship was activated, forming a defense light shield, and the monk guarding the passenger ship also shouted, "Who are you, fellow Taoist? How dare you intercept the passenger ship of Wanbao Pavilion? Do you want to rob us?" At this time, a monk appeared in the air with two people on a sword, and responded, "Fellow Taoist of Wanbao Pavilion, please forgive me. I am Qi Daoxin from Dongyang Prefecture. This time I am here to seek justice from your pavilion." The monk in charge of the passenger ship was a little puzzled, but still asked, "What do you mean by this, fellow Taoist Qi?" Qi Daoxin said sadly, "My grandson Qi Hanfei, who was on your Wanbao Pavilion's passenger ship, had his life plate broken 4 days ago and died. Shouldn't you, Wanbao Pavilion, give us an explanation and give us justice?" The monk in charge of the passenger ship did not expect this to be the case, and was a little headache. He explained, 4 days ago, the passenger ship docked at the Danyang Prefecture passenger ship landing and takeoff area. At that time, most of the monks on the ship entered the Danyang market. Moreover, if the monks leave the passenger ship on their own, Wanbao Pavilion is not responsible for their safety. You have found the wrong person. You should go to Danyang market to look for clues. Qi Daoxin was even more sad after hearing this, but he still said, "We have found it, but the scene has been completely destroyed. However, based on the traces of the battle, it can be inferred that there are 3 to 4 murderers, and after they succeeded, they boarded this passenger ship to leave Danyang Prefecture. If no one left in the middle, the murderer must still be on the ship. Although Wanbao Pavilion stipulates that it is not responsible for the safety of monks leaving the ship, as guests of your Jiazi room, you also have a certain responsibility if something happens during the boat ride, right? At least provide some convenience and help find the murderer, right?" The monk guarding the ship was in a dilemma after hearing what Qi Daoxin said, and finally said, "I'm sorry, fellow Taoist Qi, Wanbao Pavilion has no precedent of disturbing its guests. I can't agree to your request." Chapter 157, The Mountain and the Sea. Feeling that the passenger ship stopped flying, hovered in the air, and activated a defense shield, she knew that something must have happened outside the passenger ship. although it was isolated by the magic circle and could not hear the sound of conversation outside. But Chen Ziyi knew that what Lin Changqing had predicted had happened, and looked at Lin Changqing with some worry. Lin Changqing winked at her and said, "It's okay, relax, no matter what happens outside, it has nothing to do with us." Chen Ziyi nodded. When Lin Changqing winked at her just now, she had already reacted. Now the passenger ship is definitely shrouded by the consciousness of high-level cultivators, and everything she said may be heard by others. At this time, Qi Daoxing's voice sounded again outside. "Taoist friend of Wanbao Pavilion, don't rush to refuse. This matter also involves the real person of Qingyuan sect. Let's talk about it when he arrives." The guarding cultivator frowned after hearing Qi Daoxing's words. How could it involve the real person of Qingyuan sect again? This matter is really getting more and more complicated and troublesome. If the real person of the local force Qingyuan sect comes, the variables of the matter will be great. He couldn't help asking, what does this have to do with the Taoist friends of Qingyuan sect? Qi Daoxing couldn't help but feel sad when he thought of this matter. Although the third-level spiritual material that his grandson brought with him was precious, it was just an excuse. It was an excuse that Qi Daoxing came up with. He used this excuse to send his grandson on this long journey, and he also wanted him to experience some things along the way. Unexpectedly, this time, his grandson came to Qian Mansion to deliver the third-level spiritual material. In fact, he met several girls of the same age in the family of Chenchen's Henren. He just didn't tell his grandson because he was afraid that if the matter didn't work out, it would be awkward to meet in the future, which would affect the relationship of the next generation. However, he still had to make things clear with the monks of Wanbao Pavilion. If he intercepted the passenger ship of Wanbao Pavilion now, if he didn't handle it well, there would be endless troubles in the future. He suppressed his sadness and said, "My grandson brought a piece of third-level spiritual material with him this time, which was specially sent to Chenchen's Henren." The monk guarding the passenger ship couldn't help but sigh when he heard it. Since the real person of Qingyuan sect was involved, the matter was different. Wanbao Pavilion can enter various spheres of influence, open auction houses and shops, which means that it promises not to go against the actual controlling forces in the local area, and even provide certain help and cooperation when necessary. As soon as the two finished speaking, a high-level cultivator's spiritual sense swept over, and in the blink of an eye, a tall and burly figure appeared in the sky, standing in the air right in front of the passenger ship. When Qi Daoxing saw the people coming, he could not help but shouted in a sad voice, "Brother Gao! Zanfei, Chenchen's Henren Gao Xiange." When he saw Qi Daoxing and the other two, his face looked better and he said, "My dear brother, you are old. I know about Zanfei's matter. Naturally, I have to give you an explanation, at this time." The guarding monk on the passenger ship also flew in front of Chenchen's Henren, and greeted Chenchen's Henren. Wanbao Pavilion monk Li Xiang greets Chenchen's Henren. Chenchen's Henren nodded and said, "Dao Li is too polite. I think Dao Li has already known about the matter. According to the agreement between your pavilion and Qingyuan sect, I now formally request Dao Li to assist in identifying the murderer." Li Xiang nodded and said, "Okay. That's true. Zhenren, how can I assist you?" Qi Daoxing said, "Call out all the monks on the passenger ship and let me identify them one by one, and check their storage bags." Chenchen's Henren also said, "I have to trouble Dao Li this time, just do as he says." Li Xiang nodded helplessly, returned to the passenger ship, and issued a notice to everyone on the ship through the loudspeaker array. "Attention everyone on the ship, the passenger ship is in a special emergency. Please take your belongings and gather on the first floor of the passenger ship." This voice sounded 3 times. Lin Changqing and Chen Ziyi looked at each other, and Lin Changqing checked it again. After thinking for a while, he took off the hidden spirit mask on his face and put it in his arms, revealing his true face. If a Purple Mansion cultivator carefully explored this thing, it would still be discovered, just like at the passenger ship landing field outside Qingyuan City at that time. Senior Chen Ziyi relied on her powerful spiritual sense to accurately find herself, so it would be better to take it down as soon as possible, so as not to waste words to explain later. Although he didn't know what happened outside, Lin Changqing had already guessed it in his heart. It must be that unlucky neighbor, family or elders who came to the door. He led Chen Ziyi to the first floor of the passenger ship, which was where Lin Changqing and Chen Ziyi used to go to the street stalls. As soon as she stepped into the first floor, Chen Ziyi let out a light "huh?" and Lin Changqing hurriedly asked in a low voice, "Junior sister, what's wrong?" Is there something wrong? Chen Ziya also explained in a low voice in Lin Changqing's ear. The one standing in the center is Chen Shanzhenren of Qingyuan sect. He is of the same generation as my great-grandmother. I have met him several times in the sect. I should call him my uncle. Lin Changqing said oh, and didn't say anything else. It turned out to be Jindan Zhenren of Qingyuan sect. I just don't know why this matter involves Jindan Zhenren of Qingyuan sect again. The spiritual sense of Jindan cultivators is so powerful, and in this special occasion, any clues cannot be missed, so all the spiritual senses are fully open, and they are carefully observing the 500 or 600 cultivators below. So the conversation between Chen Ziya and the others just now has been heard by Chen Shanzhenren, which attracted his attention. Chen Ziya also knew that as a junior, she should go forward to greet the elders of the sect, so she hesitated for a moment, but still pulled Lin Changqing forward and came to the front of Chen Shanzhenren. She bowed and greeted. Chen Ziya, a disciple of Cheng Shipik, greets the great master. Lin Changqing also hurriedly bowed and greeted. Junior Lin Changqing, greets the great master. Chen Shanzhenren glanced at Chen Ziya and asked, are you a disciple of the great master Yangsha? Why are you with an outsider? Chen Ziya replied respectfully. Great master, the great master Yangsha is my great-grandmother. Brother Lin is under the order of my grandmother and great-grandmother to escort me home and train me along the way. Lin family? Are you a descendant of Lin Guangcheng? Chen Shanzhenren was a little confused and looked at Lin Changqing. He knew about Chen Yangsha and Lin Guangcheng. Their two families have been friends for hundreds of years, just like the relationship between himself and the Qi family, so it was not surprising. Moreover, seeing that they were a man and a woman traveling together, maybe their elder, Yangsha's Henren, also intended to bring them together, so he made such an arrangement, so he didn't need to get involved. Hearing Jindan Henren's question, Lin Changqing hurriedly replied respectfully, yes, it is my great-grandfather. He was of the same generation as the great-grandmother. This old monster who had lived for hundreds of years must have many tricks. He still had to respect him, otherwise it would be bad if he was thinking about him. Chen Shanzhenren nodded, knowing what was going on between the two, and asked them to wait for a while to cooperate, and then he stopped paying attention to them. At this time, everyone on the passenger ship had come to the first floor of the passenger ship. It was not a big place, but 700 or 800 cultivators squeezed in. It was still a little crowded. Li Xiaoying, the monk guarding the passenger ship, said at this time, Master, everyone on the ship, including the crew of Wanbao Pavilion, has gathered here. According to the agreement, I have cooperated with you, and the rest is up to you to deal with. But if you want to take people from the passenger ship of Wanbao Pavilion, you must show real evidence. After saying that, he walked aside, obviously intending to watch the development of the situation and then decide what to do next. Qi Daoxuan whispered a few words to the two middle-aged monks, a man and a woman, beside him, and then the two of them left here with a foundation-building monk from the passenger ship crew. In fact, Qi Daoxuan had carefully observed everyone who had just come in, and he probably had some suspicious targets in his mind. Chapter 158 Big Melon. Qi Daoxuan took 2 steps forward, and a unique spiritual pressure of a high-level cultivator swept across the entire venue. He carefully inspected all the key refining cultivators below. Then he spoke. 4 days ago, between Daniyang Market and the landing area of the passenger ship, about 10 miles outside the market, a robbery and murder occurred. My grandson Qi's Hanfei was killed there, and his body was burned to ashes by the fireball technique. All the things he carried with him were gone. Several murderers should be among you. Stand up and I will give you a quick death. In the name of the Qi family, I promise not to implicate your family. Otherwise, if I find them myself, I will definitely kill your entire family. Now I will give you 1 stick of incense to think about it. After saying that, he casually threw a stick of burning incense and stuck it on the ground. The 700 or 800 key refining cultivators below began to whisper to each other, speculating who did it and whether they would stand up and admit it. Soon, 1 stick of incense passed, and of course, no one came forward to admit it. Qi Daoxuan stood up again and said, since no one has taken the initiative to admit it, I can only find it myself. After saying that, he waved his hand and dozens of mana marks fell on the crowd. Soon, 17 small teams of 3 or 4 people were marked. Those with mana marks on their hands, come here and open your storage bag for me to check. As soon as Qi Daoxuan said this, the crowd immediately exploded. Someone couldn't help but ask, why do you check our storage bags? You know, The storage bag is the entire wealth and privacy of the monks. Why don't you let us check your storage bag? Maybe you are the thief crying catch the thief here. Kidaokshin almost exploded on the spot after hearing this. He raised his hand to the monk and instantly cast a water ball spell, which made the monk who spoke spit blood from his mouth and fainted. The crowd below felt a chill, and no one dared to be the first to speak out. Fortunately, Kidaokshin still had some reason and knew that those who dared to speak out at this time must have some strength and background, so he didn't kill them. Kidaokshin spoke again. If anyone has any objections, you can stand up now and I will clean them up together. After waiting for a while, no one spoke again. Then he continued, those with mana marks on their hands, come over and open all the storage bags on your body. Don't think about hiding anything. I only look for what I want to find. I am not interested in the messy things in your body. The monks with mana marks on their hands looked at each other. Finally, a small team of 4 came over first. In front of Kidaokshin, they opened their storage bags for him to check. Kidaokshin was not polite. He checked them all carefully and scanned the 4 people several times with his spiritual sense. After confirming that there was no problem, he cleared a place for the 4 people to stay there. After the demonstration of the 4 people in front, the 16 teams behind also obediently opened their storage bags for Kidaokshin to check. The results were all the same, nothing was found. At this time, Kidaokshin's face was a little ugly, but he still waved his hand and sent out another 100 mana marks. This time, those with a mark on their hands automatically came to him and opened their storage bags for him to check without him saying anything. Soon, after 100, another 100 were passed. Even the monk who fainted on the ground had his storage bag opened by Kidaokshin, but he still didn't find what he was looking for. Now only Lin Changqing and Chen Zhiao were left in the audience, and many people were looking at them. Lin Changqing was also very single, so without Chen Shenzhenren saying anything, he pulled Chen Zhiao, and the 2 walked towards Kidaokshin, and then opened their storage bags for him to check. Kidaokshin's face was now so cold that it could freeze, but he still forced himself to check the 2 people's storage bags, and of course he found nothing. Although he was extremely disappointed, he had not lost his mind. He knew that the 2 young monks in front of him were different from others, so he still said to them, I'm sorry. Lin Changqing and Chen Zhiao nodded and said nothing. No one would be happy to have their storage bags checked, so the 2 of them couldn't say anything to comfort them. At this time, the 3 people who had just left also came back. One of them was a middle-aged monk who looked a bit like Kidaokshin. He came to Kidaokshin and whispered a few words. At this time, Kidaokshin walked to the front again and said, A character 12, 13, 15, 16, those are the ones, please come out. Lin Changqing, Chen Zhiao, a tall and thin young monk, and the monk who had spoken just now and was knocked unconscious. 4 people stood up. Kidaokshin came up to the 4 people and asked, My dear friends, have you had contact with my grandson Ki's Hanfei a few days ago? Was there anything unusual at that time? Lin Changqing and the other man looked at each other, and it was Lin Changqing who spoke first. On the morning before arriving at Daniyang Prefecture, your grandson came to touch the ban on my door, saying that he was my next-door neighbor. He wanted to invite me to go to Daniyang Market together, but it was inconvenient because I had a female companion with me, so I refused. At this time, the female monk rushed over, with a sad face and red eyes, and asked Lin Changqing sternly, Why didn't you agree to him at that time? Maybe with your company, my son would not have died. Lin Changqing glanced at her and said nothing, knowing that facing a person who had lost his mind, she would not listen to anything he said. Kidaokshin said at this time, Kill her, keep an eye on your wife and don't let her talk nonsense. The middle-aged monk responded and came over to pull the middle-aged female monk away. Kidaokshin said to Lin Changqing, I'm sorry, my friend. She just lost her son and is a little crazy. Apart from what you just said, is there anything else? Lin Changqing shook his head and said, After he was rejected by me, he left. As for whether he went to find other people, I don't know. Kidaokshin looked at the other 2 people. The tall and thin monk shook his head, but the monk who was knocked unconscious seemed to be hesitant to speak. Kidaokshin noticed it immediately and said, I'm sorry for what I said just now, young man. I was a little impatient. Do you have any clues? Can you tell me? The monk looked at him, hesitated, and said, He came to see me that morning, but I rejected him as well. No one would dare to agree to someone who suddenly came to me and asked to travel with me when they didn't know each other before. I think he seemed to know that it was dangerous to go to Daniyang Market, but he still wanted to go. This is quite interesting, Qi Daoxuan frowned after listening to his words. Could it be that his grandson hid something else that made him want to go to Danyang market even though he knew there was danger? At this time, the middle-aged female monk suddenly burst into tears. Qi Daoxuan asked impatiently, "What's wrong with you?" The middle-aged female monk stopped crying after a while and said self-blamingly, "Maybe I harmed him. Before leaving, I was afraid that he didn't know anything and was stupid. I couldn't help but point him. I guess he guessed something, so he should have gone to Danyang market to buy gifts." The middle-aged monk was furious when he heard this and pointed at her. He was so angry that he couldn't speak. Qi Daoxuan also shook his head sadly. It was unfortunate for the family to have such a woman. It was really a loving mother who had a bad son. How could she destroy the plan they had originally discussed, and indirectly kill her grandson? Now the problem is that all the key refining monks on the passenger ship have had their storage bags checked, and all the rooms on the passenger ship have been carefully searched, but nothing related to her grandson was found. That proves that he may have found the wrong direction. Now he has to consider how to end it. There are 700 or 800 cultivators on the ship. Even if the 9th floor is composed of independent cultivators, there is still another floor of cultivators with a history and roots, like Chen Ziya and Lin Changqing. Qi Daoxuan was very troubled by offending so many big and small forces at once, so now he had to find a way to end it properly. He no longer paid attention to his son and daughter-in-law, and turned to discuss with Chen Shenzhenren. After a while, he also invited Li Xiaoying, the guard of the passenger ship, to come over. The result of the three people's discussion was to give some compensation to all the passengers on the ship and exempt all passengers from the cost of taking the passenger ship this time. This fee was paid by Wanbao Pavilion half, and the other half was borne by the Qi family and Chen Shenzhenren. However, when it was announced, Chen Shenzhenren was not mentioned because Chen Shenzhenren did not need this and gave the title to the Qi family. This is a considerable fee. There are 4 different boarding certificates, A, B, C, and D for passengers like Lin Changqing and Chen Ziya who need to take 3 trips. Each trip is 200 spirit stones, and 2 people are 1,200 spirit stones. The fees for other boarding passes are 150, 100, and 50 respectively. In total, each family has to pay tens of thousands of spirit stones. After the 3 of them discussed it, they decided that Li Xiaoying, the guard of the passenger ship, and Qi Daoxuan would announce the news together, because Wanbao Pavilion also needed to give an explanation to each passenger. After a burst of spiritual pressure from high-level cultivators, the scene quickly became quiet. Li Xiaoying took 2 steps forward and said, "Because of this special incident, it has caused some inconvenience and trouble to everyone. On behalf of Wanbao Pavilion, I apologize to everyone. So in order to give everyone an explanation, it is decided that the cost of this boat ride will be borne by Wanbao Pavilion and the Qi family." As soon as the voice fell, thunderous cheers rang out from below. For many casual cultivators, 100 or 200 spirit stones is already a huge expense. Some people may have to save for a long time before they can save enough for the boat ride. After everyone cheered, Qi Daoxuan stepped forward and said, "On behalf of the Qi family, I apologize to you. Half of your boat fare will be borne by the Qi family. However, the murderer of my grandson has not been found yet. If you can provide effective clues, the Qi family will give you a reward of 10,000 spirit stones. If you can find the murderer directly, the Qi family will reward you with a foundation-building pill." Fellow Taoist Li Xiaoying of Wanbao Pavilion and Master Chenshin of Qingyuan sect are witnesses. The Qi family will never break their promise. As soon as the voice fell, the scene was boiling again. Not to mention the 10,000 spirit stones, the foundation-building pill alone was too attractive to 99% of the Qi refining cultivators present. After the crowd calmed down, Chen Shan said, "If you have any clues or know who the murderer is, you can find me at the garrison in the center of Qingyuan City. If you can prove that it's true, I will immediately pay you the reward. I will never break my promise." After hearing Chen Shan's words, the crowd started to talk among themselves, but after a while, no one stood up to say anything. Chen Shan and the Qi family could only leave in disappointment. Chapter 159, Enlightenment. Li Xiaoying, the guard of the passenger ship, began to organize the crew members and issued different amounts of spiritual stones to all passengers according to their boarding certificates. Lin Changqing and Chen Ziya also received 600 spiritual stones each, and then returned to the top floor, and saw that all the door restrictions on this floor were broken. Although she was prepared, Chen Ziya's heart still jumped, and she couldn't help but look at Lin Changqing, who shook his head at her. Using the jade card certificate again, the two entered Chen Ziya's room. Chen Ziya began to brew green jade tea, and then chatted while drinking tea. The main content of the chat was still about the guard of Wanbao Pavilion, several people from the Qi family, and Chenchen's Henrun. Regarding Qi's Hanfei, the two tacitly did not mention it again. The special incident that happened this time delayed the passenger ship for about 2 hours. When it arrived at the landing field of Kitain Mansion, it was already close to dusk. The two discussed and decided to rest on the passenger ship for a night and go to Kitain Market tomorrow to take a look. However, this time, the two of them would only go in and stroll around the street stall square, and if they had time, they would go to the gambling stone shop to have a look, and then they would come back and not spend the night in the market. Soon the passenger ship landed at the landing field of Kitain Mansion. After drinking a pot of spiritual tea, Lin Changqing said goodbye and returned to his room. Of course, as soon as he entered, he began to check with his spiritual sense little by little to see if there was anything different. Fortunately, after checking several times, he did not find any problems. Sitting in the living room, he began to reflect on what would happen if he had taken action and saved Qi's Hanfei at that time. However, he shook his head afterwards. When he led the pursuing monks to Lin Changqing and the others and insisted on dragging them into the water, he had already had a very bad impression of him. He had even sentenced him to death in his heart, so how could he save him? Moreover, even if he could get rid of the pursuit of those monks at that time, the estimated consequence would be death in Lin Changqing's hands. After all, Lin Changqing would definitely not let a person who calculated him live under his nose. After figuring this out, a cool and refreshing feeling suddenly filled my heart. My eyes were bright, and the world seemed to be much clearer. Lin Changqing seemed to have realized something. It seems that the practice of a cultivator is not just practice, but also a spiritual practice. Just now, I questioned my heart and got my truest thoughts, which can be regarded as seeing my true nature. Unconsciously, the sky outside had darkened. After thinking about it, I decided to lay out the small 5-element maze array. I can't stop practicing just because someone might monitor me. It's just that I won't enter the inner space again in a short period of time. Now many things are in the inner space, which is quite inconvenient. For example, the Zuanin heavy water bottle can't be sacrificed, and the water control technique is also inconvenient, not to mention the Thunder Sutra and the Thunder Control technique. After activating the array, I began to practice the 5 elements Return to Origin Sutra, which is the most suitable method for practice now. Soon, an hour and a half passed, and Lin Changqing stopped practicing after reaching the limit of the body's meridians. Then he turned to practice various spells. Anyway, he would not waste time and try to make use of it. After finishing the spells and preparing to lie down to rest, a wave of joy suddenly came from the bottom of his heart. Lin Changqing immediately had a guess in his mind, but he still sensed it through the contract. It was indeed Lu Xiaoya who had woken up and successfully advanced to the 2nd level. Now she was happily running around in the inner space with a wind escape technique, and she also passed this joy to Lin Changqing through the contract. Lin Changqing smiled knowingly. This time it was good. Although it was 2 or 3 days later than Liu Yaoqiang, fortunately it was successfully promoted, and there would be one more trump card in the future. The only pity is that the 3-color deer has no attack skills, but it runs very fast. However, Lu Xiaoya is a female deer and has no horns on her head. When sitting on it and performing wind escape, I don't know where to catch it. Should I catch its ears? Next time I enter the inner space, I will find Lu Xiaoya and try the wind escape technique. The next morning, Lin Changqing completed his practice, put away the array plate of the maze array, and went to find Chen Ziya next door. The two of them set out to Kitain Market together, still using Chen Ziya's flying boat. Since Lin Changqing's flying boat was destroyed last time, he has not bought a new one. He did capture 2, but Lin Changqing was not very satisfied with either of them, so he did not practice it. Now he has been using Chen Ziya's flying boat. For safety, he still released Shui. The distance of 20 to 30 miles was reached without any danger in a short time. He landed a little further away from the entrance of Kitain Market, recalled Shui back to the Spirit Beast bag, and then the two spent 4 spirit stones to apply for the jade card certificate for entering and leaving the market. He entered the market smoothly. Since he did not plan to stay overnight in the market this time, he did not need to find a hotel. He asked the clerk of the shop next to him about the way to the street stall square. After getting the instructions, the two quickly found the place. They came a little early. There were only 300 or 400 stalls in the square, and some stall owners were coming one after another, but it did not affect Chen Ziya's interest. He still strolled around with great interest. Lin Changqing followed her as usual, and also looked for something that interested him. Of course, there were only 1,400 spiritual stones in the storage bag at most, and it was only yesterday that one Bao Pavilion compensated 600 spiritual stones that he had so much. So he had to spend sparingly and save some capital to wait for the gambling stone shop to make a fortune. Therefore, Lin Changqing did not buy those ordinary spiritual plants that could be bought or not, but just happened to encounter 7 or 8 seedlings of the attracting demon grass, so he couldn't help but buy them at the price of 5 spiritual stones per plant, spending a total of 40 spiritual stones. The rest of the time was just looking but not buying. I went shopping with Chen Ziya twice, which took more than 2 hours in total. Fortunately, I didn't encounter any particularly precious spiritual medicines or spiritual plants. And finally saved the few spiritual stones in the storage bag. Chen Ziya also had a small harvest today. She bought a dozen or so small accessories. Fortunately, they were not magic tools, but just ordinary accessories. It didn't cost a few spiritual stones in total. Anyway, Chen Ziya was happy. The two walked out of the stall square and began to look for the gambling stone shop. Fortunately, it didn't take long. After asking the clerk in the roadside shop, they got clear instructions and found it quickly. In the middle, they also saw a shop that sold spiritual beasts. Lin Changqing hesitated for a moment, but still didn't go in. After all, there were not many spiritual stones in the storage bag. It was better to concentrate on the spiritual stones to do big things first. As soon as he stepped into the gambling stone shop, the clerk immediately came up to him. It was still the old rule. He refused the clerk's company and introduction, and made it clear that he could choose it himself. In fact, Lin Changqing's mind is no longer here. Looking in at the door, more than a dozen halos of different colors and varying brightness have deeply attracted him. There is still the mind to care about the clerk. I said to Chen Ziya, remember to choose one, and after she agreed, the two of them each found a raw stone to study. Lin Changqing was mainly impatient to take the only raw stone in the store that he met slide in his hand. This raw stone is not too big, a little bigger than the head, and emits a bright yellow halo. According to past experience, it is estimated that only 20 to 30 high-quality earth spirit stones can be opened. To be honest, Lin Changqing was still a little disappointed. Just now, he saw a lot of halos, but after a closer look, only this one could open high-quality spirit stones, and the others could only open medium-quality raw stones. However, thinking that there were not many spirit stones in his storage bag, he decided to choose another one of suitable size and prepare to find an opportunity to exchange some spirit stones. Of course, he would not exchange them in this place. There are many people here, and being targeted would cause a lot of trouble. The first time Lin Changqing was attacked was because he opened a medium-quality fire spirit stone in such a place, so he was targeted. Lin Changqing planned to choose a raw stone that could open about 50 to 60 medium-quality spirit stones, and then return to the passenger ship to open it himself. Then wait until the next destination, Jianzhou Prefecture Market, and then go to the Wanbao Pavilion there to make a move. This would be safer, and the number of 5,000 to 6,000 spirit stones would not attract much attention. Lin Changqing has made up his mind not to enter the inner space again before the end of this journey. He began to search in the piles of raw stones, and soon found a suitable size, a raw stone as big as 2 heads, with a dark blue halo, indicating that it was a medium-grade water-attributed spiritual stone. It was heavy in his hand, so he went to the boss to settle the bill first. Lin Changqing received a total of 500 spiritual stones for the 2 raw stones. He put them in the storage bag and put them away, which was considered to be in his pocket. After finishing his own business, he had time to walk to Chen Ziya and saw that she was hesitating in front of the 3 raw stones. Lin Changqing took a look and laughed secretly. The 3 raw stones that Chen Ziya liked were all without halos. No matter which one she chose, she would lose money. It would be better to choose the smallest one, at least she could lose less. But she didn't ask him, and Lin Changqing couldn't express his opinion. In the end, she still chose the largest one, and went to the boss to settle the bill, and received 240 spiritual stones from her. Fortunately, Chen Zai was a small rich woman, and she could afford to lose this amount of spiritual stones. At most, he would help her earn some back next time. Chapter 160, Enlightenment and Foundation Building. The two of them left the gambling stone shop. Since it was still early, Chen Zai suggested that they go find a place to sell animal offal. After eating, they would go back. Lin Changqing readily agreed. In fact, it only took about 3 hours to visit the street stalls and the gambling stone shop. It was too early to go back to the passenger ship. Because they were not in a hurry, they did not ask for directions. They just wandered around to kill time. However, Lin Changqing did not relax his vigilance. After all, they had just come out of the gambling stone shop. Who knows if they will be targeted by someone, so his consciousness has been paying attention to the surrounding environment and people. Now, more than 100 meters away, he found a person who should not be here, the middle-aged female cultivator of the Qi family, Qi's Hanfei's mother. Lin Changqing didn't know if it was an accidental encounter or she was following Lin Changqing and the others. So he decided to give it a try. He happened to see the food shop. The two walked in, paid 2 spirit stones, and each of them got a large bowl of animal offal and began to eat hard. In fact, Lin Changqing's consciousness had been paying attention to Qi's Hanfei's mother. Now it was certain that she was coming for Lin Changqing and the other two. She didn't know that Lin Changqing's consciousness was so strong, otherwise she would not have come so close. Although she had a high level of cultivation, she obviously had no experience in following people. The purpose was too obvious, and Lin Changqing could easily judge that she was following the two of them. If the Qi family knew that Qi's Hanfei's death was related to him, then it should be Qi Daoxing or even Chen Shanshunren who came. After all, he and Chen Zai represented the great-grandmother Yang Shizhenren to a certain extent. Now only Qi's Hanfei's mother came by herself, which was obviously his intention. In all likelihood, it was because he rejected Qi's Hanfei, which led to his death and death alone, and thus he took his anger out on the two of them. Taking advantage of the opportunity to eat, he said, "Junior sister, listen to me, be careful not to be too surprised. We are being targeted. It's Qi's Hanfei's mother, who is about 150 meters to our left." Lin Changqing knew that Chen Zai had been soaked in the purple spirit liquid, and her consciousness must be more than 150 meters. Chen Zai was stunned for a moment when she heard this, and then while she was eating, she extended her consciousness in the direction that Lin Changqing said, and soon found the middle-aged female cultivator. "Brother, what should we do now?" After confirming the situation, Chen Zai asked a little nervously. Lin Changqing said while eating, "This woman followed the two of us. It must be because of the death of her son that she took her anger out on us. We are definitely not her opponents on our own. We can only go to the Qian City guardhouse and ask your uncle to make the decision." Chen Zai felt more at ease after hearing what Lin Changqing said. She lowered her head and continued to ask, "The distance from the market to Qian City is still more than 10 miles. Is it too dangerous for us to go out like this?" Lin Changqing thought for a while and said, "Who said we have to go to Qian City by ourselves? Finish eating quickly and follow me. You will know what's going on later." Chen Zai blinked her eyes. Seeing that her brother was so confident, she felt much more at ease. Then she continued to eat hard. Soon the two of them finished 2 large bowls of animal offal, left the dining hall, and walked towards the Wanbao Pavilion. As soon as he entered the Wanbao Pavilion, a clerk in his 20s who looked smart and capable came to greet him. "Hello, guests. Welcome to the Wanbao Pavilion. I am your shopping guide this time. You can just call me Xiaodu." Lin Changqing nodded and said, "I want to buy something." "Okay, guests, please go to the 2nd floor. This way." The clerk Xiaodu led Lin Changqing and the others to a small private room and sat them down. A maid immediately brought 2 cups of spiritual tea. Lin Changqing nodded to her to express his gratitude. Xiaodu then asked, "What do you want?" "I want a first-level flying boat that is faster and can carry 2 or 3 people." Xiaodu nodded quickly and said, "Yes, guests, wait a moment, I'll get it for you to see." After saying that, he retreated. Not long after, he walked in with a tray on which were 3 magic tools. Lin Changqing took a closer look and saw that they were the ones he had seen before in the Wanbao Pavilion in Qingyuan City, the light wind boat, the swift wind boat, and the cloud-piercing boat. Just as Xiaodu was about to introduce the items, Lin Changqing waved his hand and said, "Don't bother. I'll buy the swift wind boat." "How many spirit stones?" Xiaodu was stunned for a moment and answered subconsciously, The swift wind boat cost 600 spirit stones. Lin Changqing nodded, took out the VIP card of Wanbao Pavilion, and gave it to Xiaodu along with the 600 spirit stones. After Xiaodu took it, he used a secret method to record the purchase. He handed the VIP card back to Lin Changqing, and then subconsciously asked, "Is there anything else the guest needs?" Lin Changqing was waiting for his words, and nodded, "Yes. There is something I want to ask you for your help," Xiaodu hurriedly said. "Please go ahead, sir." Lin Changqing pondered for a moment before speaking. "Wait a moment, after the two of us leave, I would like to ask you to help us deliver a letter to the garrison in a quarter of an hour and personally give it to our great uncle master, Zhenren. We are now being targeted by the robbers, and it is dangerous to leave the market. And please be sure to bring back a reply from Zhenren. We will be back in an hour and a half, and then we will reward you with 400 spirit stones." Xiaodu was embarrassed when he heard this, and when he was hesitating, Lin Changqing said again, "Don't be afraid, we will go out to lure away the stalkers, and no one will pay attention to a little boy like you. A round trip will earn you 400 spirit stones in less than an hour, and this time our uncle will definitely catch this group of robbers in one fell swoop, leaving no trouble behind, and maybe he will give you some extra rewards at that time." Xiaodu listened to Lin Changqing's words, thought about it, and then agreed. Lin Changqing said to Chen Ziya again, "Junior sister, please write down the situation we encountered and tell the uncle, and then give your identity jade card to Xiaodu as a token." Chen Ziya nodded, took out a jade slip and stuck it on her forehead, and engraved the situation they encountered in the jade slip. She also played a series of spells on the jade slip, and after finishing, she handed her identity jade card of the inner sect disciple of Qingyun sect to Xiaodu together with a jade slip. Xiaodu took the identity jade card and saw that it was indeed the identity jade card of the inner sect disciple of Qingyun sect, and then he believed that the two did not deceive him. In addition, Lin Changqing also held the VIP card of Wanbao Pavilion and the 400 spirit stones reward he promised. Xiaodu decided to help them go to the garrison. After telling Xiaodu not to see them off, the two left the Wanbao Pavilion. Not long after they left, their spiritual sense discovered that Qi Zhanfei's mother had followed them. The two looked at each other and tacitly said nothing. They just started to wander aimlessly in the market. Fearing that Chen Ziya's performance was not natural enough, Lin Changqing still held Chen Ziya's hand. Her face immediately turned red, but she did not resist, but was very obedient to be held by Lin Changqing. Seeing Chen Ziya's blushing face and her hand being held tightly by him, Lin Changqing's heart skipped a beat. This scene was seen by the middle-aged female monk who followed them behind. When she thought of her son who had turned into ashes, she was furious. And the two murderers who indirectly killed her son were still in the mood to be affectionate here, which made her even more angry. She wished to cut them into pieces. Lin Changqing held Chen Ziya's hand and wandered around the streets and alleys. Of course, he didn't dare to go to two remote places. He was afraid that the middle-aged female monk would not be able to control herself and take risks, and attack them directly in the market. In this tense and exciting situation, the two held hands and never let go. Now Lin Changqing had a little understanding in his heart. Unknowingly, an hour and a half had passed. After a long walk, the two returned to the Wanbao Pavilion. At this time, Xiaodu had already returned. Seeing the two, he quickly came up to greet them and took them to the small box upstairs. Chapter 161, One person dying or the whole clan dying? As soon as he entered the box, Lin Changqing hurriedly asked, "Xiaodu, how is it? Is everything going well? Have you seen Chen Zhenren?" Xiaodu hurriedly said, "Fortunately, I have the inner disciple's body J token as a token, otherwise, it is not so easy to see Chen Zhenren." Fortunately, after showing the token, Zhenren's disciples took it very seriously, and it didn't take long for him to see him. "This is Chen Zhenren's reply to you." After speaking, he handed Lin Changqing a jade slip. After Lin Changqing took it, he handed it to Chen Ziya. There should be some special techniques of Qingyun sect on it. Only Chen Ziya, who is also a Qingyun disciple, can successfully unlock and read it. Sure enough, after Chen Ziya took it, she looked at it, typed a few spells, and then put the jade slip on her forehead to read it. Soon, Chen Ziya finished reading it and handed the jade slip to Lin Changqing again. After taking it, he read it directly. There were only 2 sentences on it: "Got it, leave normally." The content in the jade slip was so simple that Lin Changqing couldn't help asking, "Junior sister, Is the jade slip okay? Chen Ziya shook her head and said, the jade slip does have the special technique of Qingyuan sect. Lin Changqing was relieved, and couldn't help asking Xiaodu, what did the real person Shenshin look like? Xiaodu was stunned for a moment, and then reacted and said, don't worry, the real person Shenshin has been guarding Qian Mansion for many years and has come to our Wanbao Pavilion many times. Although I didn't receive him, I have the honor to see him several times and I won't make a mistake. He is very tall and mighty, and I can recognize him at a glance. After listening to this, Lin Changqing nodded and felt relieved. This little Du is quite smart. It's a pity that the 100-year-old Zhu fruit is in the inner space, otherwise Lin Changqing couldn't help but want to give him one. He counted out 400 spirit stones and handed them to Xiaodu. This was the reward he promised to him just now, and he couldn't break his promise. With an idea, he asked Xiaodu again if Wanbao Pavilion could send things across the prefecture. After getting Xiaodu's affirmative answer, Lin Changqing asked Chen Ziya to write down their experiences along the way and the various problems they encountered in a jade slip, and added the special methods of Qingyuan sect, and asked Wanbao Pavilion to help them send it to Yangsha's Henrin of Qingyuan sect. This was an insurance that Lin Changqing gave them. As early as yesterday, he saw that Zhenrin Shenshin and the Qi family had an unusual relationship. So it's better to be careful and be prepared. I hope it won't be used at that time. Chen Ziya handed the jade slip and 200 spirit stones to Xiaodu, and then Lin Changqing and the others thanked him and left. Before leaving, Lin Changqing also told Xiaodu to let him not leave Wanbao Pavilion easily in the next few days just in case. After leaving Wanbao Pavilion, Lin Changqing went to hold Chen Ziya's hand again. Chen Ziya only resisted symbolically, and then obeyed, and her face quickly turned red again. The two walked all the way to the exit of the market town. After leaving the market town, Chen Ziya released the flying boat, and the two controlled the flying boat to fly towards the passenger ship landing area. Just 1 mile away from the market town, Lin Changqing released Shui, and then asked it to fly a little higher, and not to come down without orders. This was because he was afraid that it would see Lin Changqing injured and attacked, and would not be able to help but come down to help. With its strength in the late stage, it would probably only take one sword to face a cultivator in the building stage. After flying for about 10 miles, they received an emergency warning from Chui that someone was approaching them at high speed. This was within the expectations of the two. Now both of them had 4 or 5 defensive talismans on their bodies, and defensive magic tools were also ready. A magic weapon flying sword slashed at the flying boat of the two. Fortunately, Lin Changqing and the others were prepared and had lowered the altitude. The hull of the flying boat was cut off by more than half, and it lost control and fell to the ground. Boom! The flying boat crashed. Fortunately the two had already gotten out of the flying boat. As soon as Lin Changqing stabilized his body, he hurriedly shouted, "Who is it, dare to attack the disciples of Qingyuan sect? Don't you want to live?" he shouted just to delay some time. At this time, a figure landed not far from the two of them. It was Qi's Hanfei's mother. Lin Changqing saw that it was the middle-aged female cultivator. He pulled Chen Ziya back a few steps. "Senior, what do you mean by this? Why did you attack us?" "My junior sister is the granddaughter of Yangsha's Henrin." The middle-aged female cultivator looked at them, her eyes red, and she laughed crazily. "Why attack you? Because you deserve to die. Why did you refuse my son's invitation? Otherwise, my son would not have died. It's all because of you that my son left me. I want you to go down and be buried with him. So what about the Qingyuan sect? So what about Zhenrin Yangsha? Kill you and let Zhenrin Yangsha find the murderer." Ha 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 ha. Lin Changqing was really angry at them when he heard it, and continued to delay. "Senior, it doesn't make sense for you to do this. You are traveling with your Taoist partner, and suddenly a female cultivator wants to travel with you. Would you be willing? Otherwise, before we make a big mistake, you should stop. We can pretend that nothing happened." The middle-aged female cultivator looked at them hatefully. "Stop, dream on, go down and be buried with my son." Then she controlled the flying sword to chop at them. Lin Changqing dragged Chen Ziya back while the two used flying swords to intercept. However, with only 2 dings, the 2 high-grade flying swords broke. The spiritual flying sword turned half a circle and continued to attack them. The two had to prepare to use defensive magic tools to resist, hoping to delay it. Fortunately, a tall figure suddenly appeared in the middle of the 3 people and reached out to grab the flying sword that attacked Lin Changqing and the others. The person who came was Shenshin's Henrin Goshianke. He sighed and shouted to the sky, "Brother Shuang, come down, soon." Qi Daoxin flew his sword and landed in the field with his son. Seeing Shenshen's Henren appear, Lin Changqing and Chen Ziya breathed a sigh of relief. Then Lin Changqing forced Chu Ai to fly higher again. It had just lowered its altitude and was about to rush down to help. Qi's Hanfei's mother was completely stunned and didn't know what to do. The scene was as quiet as death, and no one spoke. After a moment of silence, Qi Daoxin said to Lin Changqing and the other two, "I'm sorry, my two friends, I frightened you too. It's because of my poor discipline that this happened today. I promise that such a thing will never happen again. How about, as the friend just said, the Qi family will give you some compensation, and we will just pretend that this misunderstanding never happened. What do you think?" Neither of them said anything. Chen Ziya looked at Lin Changqing, while Lin Changqing looked at the ground, as if there was some rare treasure on it. The scene returned to the same silence as before. Qi Daoxin frowned. This was really fatal. Although he could kill two juniors in the Qi refining stage with a slap, the problem was that he couldn't do it. If he could do it today, Yongsha's Henren could do it tomorrow. Besides, Shenshen's Henren at the scene would not allow him to mess around. Being able to remain silent is the result of hundreds of years of friendship between the two families. If you two have any requests, just say it. As long as the Qi family has it, we will definitely satisfy you. Only then did Lin Changqing bear to take his eyes off the ground, glanced at the Qi family, and said, "We don't have any requests, we just ask not to be attacked again." As soon as these words came out, Shenshen's Henren, Qi Daoxin, and Qi's Hanfei's father frowned. This was the simplest request, but the most fatal one. How can we stop being attacked? The only way is to solve the attackers. There was another silence. Seeing that no one wanted to talk, Lin Changqing took out a newly bought swift wind boat from the storage bag and began to practice it. The flying boat and flying sword of the two were damaged just now. If they didn't practice the swift wind boat, they would have to walk back later. However, Lin Changqing's trick made everyone present stunned. This was too frivolous. After all, Jinden's Henren and Zifu's Hangxiu were in front, and they actually started to practice the flying boat without paying attention to others. Chen Ziya also opened her eyes wide, but quickly reacted. She couldn't help wanting to laugh, but considering the wrong occasion, she forced herself to hold it back. Qi Daoxin looked at the crashed flying boat and the broken flying sword on the ground, and he also understood a little. He wanted to say something, but couldn't. Chen Shan's Henren was silent from the beginning, which actually meant that he favored the Qi family. Now that Lin Changqing was just refining the flying boat, he had no right to say anything. After a while, Lin Changqing finally completed the ritual, threw the flying boat into the air, and turned it into a flying state that could carry 3 or 5 people, and then pulled Chen Ziya onto the flying boat. He said to Chen Shan's Henren, "Thank you for saving me, senior. The two juniors will take their leave first." Chen Ziya also said, "Thank you, Uncle Master, I will take my leave first." Chen Shan's Henren sighed, knowing that he couldn't let them go like this. He was first a Jinden's Henren of Qingyuan sect, and then a family friend of the Qi family. Ignoring Lin Changqing and the other two, he said to Qi Daoxin, "Don't be lucky. No one is a fool. These two young people will definitely leave something that can destroy the Qi family. One person dies, or the whole family dies. Is it so difficult to choose?" Qi Daoxin sighed. His son was very anxious after hearing what Chen Shan said. His son just died. Is he going to lose his Taoist partner again? He couldn't help but beg, "Dad, don't." Zhan Fei's mother was just confused for a moment. The middle-aged female cultivator was also scared to death. How could it suddenly be like this? She was going to be killed for no reason. Qi Daoxin suddenly appeared beside the middle-aged female cultivator and broke her dancing with one finger. The middle-aged female cultivator screamed, trembled all over, and squatted on the ground. The magic power lost its control and soon dissipated from the damaged dancing and the pores all over her body. Her Taoist partner quickly came to her side, helped her up, and fed her healing pills. Qi Daoxin said to the two of them in a deep voice, "I have destroyed her cultivation. She will live in the Qi family's clan land for the rest of her life. Even if she dies, she will only be buried there. The Qi family will never allow her to leave, and no one from the Qi family will bother you in the future." This is an explanation to the two friends. After that, he threw out a storage bag and landed it on Lin Changqing's flying boat. "The spiritual stones in it are to compensate for your losses. From now on, We are even. Lin Changqing glanced at Chen Ziya, and after seeing her nod slightly, he said, we have already sent a message to Master Yongxia. As for what she will do, it is not something we can control. After that, the two of them left on the boat and flew to the passenger ship landing field. Chapter 162, Afterthought. Soon they returned to the passenger ship landing area smoothly. Lin Changqing called Shui back and put him in the spirit beast bag. This little guy saw Lin Changqing being beaten up in the sky today. He was so anxious that he wanted to rush down regardless of Lin Changqing's orders. If Lin Changqing hadn't seen it lower its altitude and immediately ordered it not to come down to make trouble, otherwise, it would really rush down to help without knowing its own strength. The two showed their boarding credentials at the side of the ship and successfully returned to Chen Ziya's room. What happened today was really big. He was actually followed and attacked by a cultivator in the foundation building period. If it were someone else, he would definitely die. Fortunately, Lin Changqing has always been very cautious and smart. He used the guise of Wanbao Pavilion and Chenchen's Henren to cleverly deal with the female cultivator in the foundation building period. Of course, when necessary, Lin Changqing can deal with her himself. As long as he has a thought, Lin Changqing can string her together and suck her dry. But after all, with Chen Ziya by his side, Lin Changqing doesn't want to reveal any of his secrets. The most important thing is that the situation has been under Lin Changqing's control, otherwise he would not have the energy to pay attention to Shui, knowing that it was going to rush down to help. Lin Changqing has actually been searching for the figure of Chenchen's Henren, but Chenchen's Henren's methods are very clever and he has not been found by Lin Changqing. Brother, please have some tea. Chen Ziya brought a cup of fragrant tea to Lin Changqing. Thank you, junior sister. After Lin Changqing thanked, he took a sip of the spiritual tea. If you want to thank me, it should be my younger sister. If it weren't for my brother today, my younger sister would definitely die on the spot. Junior sister, you are too kind. I am also saving myself. Let's not care about these things anymore. Let's see what compensation the Qi family will give us. Lin Changqing didn't want to continue talking about this old topic, so he turned the topic to the compensation of the Qi family. Chen Ziya knew what he meant, just chuckled and agreed happily. Lin Changqing took out the storage bag, and after a little sacrifice, he poured out all the things. After a rough count, there were 20,000 low-grade spirit stones, 40 medium-grade spirit stones, 2 first-grade high-grade flying swords, 2 second-grade medium-grade flying swords, and a second-grade high-grade spirit boat. This last spirit boat was obviously compensation for Chen Ziya. There was nothing to say. Everything was divided equally, and the spirit boat was also given to Chen Ziya. Chen Ziya refused to accept the spirit boat. Lin Changqing said that he could not build a foundation that fast, and it would be a waste to take it. Chen Ziya reluctantly accepted it. He gave Lin Changqing the 10,000 spirit stones she got. Lin Changqing thought about it and did not refuse. He happily accepted it. Anyway, Chen Ziya was a small rich woman. With more than 20,000 spirit stones, Lin Changqing did not have to take a medium-grade spirit stone or to Wanbao Pavilion to exchange for spirit stones, which saved a lot of trouble. As for Chen Ziya, I will find a chance to find a raw stone for her in the future. Anyway, I will definitely compensate her and not let her lose money. After dividing the things that the Qi family compensated, the two continued to drink tea and chat, discussing some arrangements after arriving in Jianzhou Prefecture. Because the next destination of the passenger ship is Jianzhou Prefecture, they will still stay in Jianzhou Market for 2 days. Chen Ziya must prepare some gifts for her family. Of course, she must choose some things that ordinary people can use, which can be found in Jianzhou Market or Jianzhou Prefecture City. Then the two will fly from Jianzhou Prefecture City to Tongshan Village in Nan County, which may take 2 or 3 days. Of course, some situations still need to be discussed after encountering them. Soon a pot of fragrant tea was finished, and Lin Changqing got up and said goodbye and left, returning to his room. After returning to the room and carefully checking twice and finding no problems, Lin Changqing finally breathed a sigh of relief and sat in the living room, thinking about what happened today. Today is the first time to face a master of the foundation building period. It would be a lie to say that you don't need to be nervous. Fortunately, everything went according to Lin Changqing's general idea, mainly using Wanbao Pavilion and the clerk Xiaodu who worked in Wanbao Pavilion. If you go to someone else, you might be killed, but if you go to Wanbao Pavilion, it is highly unlikely that you will be killed, because Wanbao Pavilion itself is definitely a behemoth. If you really care about it, Qingyun sect is definitely not its opponent. No matter how deep the friendship between Chengqing's Henren and the Qi family it is impossible for them to take such a big risk to kill the guys of one Bao pavilion for the Qi family. Therefore, the script can be played according to the general trajectory imagined by Lin Changqing. It can be said that Lin Changqing used one Bao pavilion to force Chengqing's Henren to stand on their side. Now, the first round has ended perfectly, and the next thing is not something that Lin Changqing and Chen Ziya, two young Qi refining people, can participate in. The second round is about the great-grandmother, the Qi family, and Chengqing's Henren. To know the result, they may have to wait until they return to Qingyun sect after visiting their home in Jianzhou to know the subsequent development of the matter. This matter has come to an end, and the next thing is the most important. Today, I held Chen Ziya's hand for a long time many times. She was very obedient and did not resist. Her intentions were already very clear. Now Lin Changqing had to think carefully whether he liked her or not. After all, this was his lifelong companion. Scenes of his interactions with Chen Ziya flashed through his mind, and a smile appeared unconsciously at the corner of his mouth. He still cared about her. Apart from her little cold personality, there was nothing wrong with her. Of course, Lin Changqing could pretend to be confused, but Chen Ziya was so smart that she would understand in no time and would think that Lin Changqing was not interested in her. Then she would probably become the same as before, and just now Lin Changqing recalled every bit of his interactions with Chen Ziya, and realized it belatedly. Great-grandmother and senior Chen Ziya had actually been trying to bring them together intentionally or unintentionally. This was what Lin Changqing suddenly realized just now. Of course, this thing can only be understood but not expressed in words. Since he liked Chen Ziya, and great-grandmother and senior Chen Ziya also supported her, what was there to hesitate about? Just go for it. He made up his mind to tease Chen Ziya from tomorrow, and he couldn't be too direct. He had to take his time, because it would be too boring if he was too direct. The process of contact between the two is also a process of mutual acceptance. After thinking it through, Lin Changqing showed a wicked smile on his face. He didn't know if Chen Ziya could rest well tonight. He would go to see her tomorrow. But it was still early, and it was not time to rest yet. He took out the array and set it up. After activating it, he entered it and released Chuai from the spirit beast bag. He fed it a spiritual pill and got some monster meat for it to eat. Then he began to smooth its feathers. Chuai performed well today, so Lin Changqing specially rewarded it. There is a spirit beast that is willing to fight for its master. What else can we say? Just reward it well. After that, he let it stay in the room without taking back the spirit beast bag. Chuai is very smart. Staying in the room will not affect Lin Changqing's experience in cultivation. Then he began to practice the 5 elements return to origin sutra. After about an hour and a half, he stopped after reaching the extreme of his own meridians. Then he practiced various spells, which also took more than an hour. It was estimated that the time was about the same, so he laid down to rest and left Chuai as his guardian. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163 Flirting. The next morning, after Lin Changqing finished his training, he did not go to find Chen Ziya right away. Instead, he waited until after the Chenchi hour when the passenger ship officially took off before he touched the restriction on Chen Ziya's door. Soon Chen Ziya opened the door and saw Lin Changqing at the door, and she unconsciously showed a happy smile. She really didn't rest well last night. She was thinking about what Lin Changqing meant. Was he holding her hand intentional or unintentional? What did he mean to her? She was still struggling with whether to go to Lin Changqing for tea. In short, since holding hands yesterday, everything felt different. Fortunately, now that Lin Changqing came, she didn't have to worry about it. Let Lin Changqing in. The two sat opposite each other, and Chen Ziya took out the white JT set and began to make tea. Lin Changqing quietly appreciated Chen Ziya's tea art. The more he looked at it, the more pleasing it was to the eye, and he couldn't help it. "Brother, please have tea." Chen Ziya sent a cup of fragrant tea to Lin Changqing. Lin Changqing couldn't help it, stretched out his hand to take it, and gently squeezed Chen Ziya's jade hand. "Ah!" Chen Ziya screamed softly, and then her face quickly turned red. Fortunately, Lin Changqing took it with both hands, otherwise the cup of tea would definitely spill out. After drinking it in one gulp, he said, "Thank you, junior sister, today's tea is really fragrant. Give me another cup." Chen Ziya blushed, but still poured another cup for Lin Changqing. This time Lin Changqing didn't tease her. After a while, Chen Ziya returned to normal, and the two began to drink tea and chat again. After finishing a pot of spiritual tea, Lin Changqing said goodbye and went back to his room. The next few days were similar. Lin Changqing went to Chen Ziya to drink tea at about the same time every day, and then teased her once or twice. Slowly, Chen Ziya also reacted and got used to Lin Changqing's teasing. Although she still blushed easily, with the increase in physical contact, the two became more and more intimate. Now they are both tacitly aware of each other, just waiting for the time to break this relationship. At noon that day, the passenger ship that Lin Changqing and his partner took arrived at the passenger ship landing field outside Jinzhou Prefecture smoothly. They encountered many things during this journey, but it ended here. The next section to Tongshan village in Nan County must be flown by the two of them. After getting off the passenger ship and returning the boarding certificate, they flew to Jinzhou Fangxi together. The distance was 20 or 30 miles, and it was quite smooth this time. They didn't encounter any problems and arrived quickly. At the gate of Fangxi, they also spent a few spirit stones to get 2 entry and exit certificates. Because they had already discussed and decided to stay here for a day or two to buy some gifts for Chen Ziya's family, they still had to find a hotel to settle down. After entering Fangxi, Lin Changqing naturally took Chen Ziya's hand. Although she was a little used to it, Chen Ziya still blushed and lagged behind a little, like a little wife. The two of them just strolled in the market, wandering around aimlessly until they saw a suitable hotel. They walked in and booked a suite with a voucher they had just obtained. After the shop assistant who led them left, Lin Changqing asked, "Junior sister, what are your plans next? Take a rest first, or go buy gifts first?" "Senior brother, I think I should buy some ordinary elixirs that my family can take first, and take a look at the gifts. If we can buy everything today, I think we will set off to Tongshan village tomorrow." After saying that, he looked at Lin Changqing expectantly. Hearing her say this, Lin Changqing readily agreed. He understood her feelings of missing her family and wanting to see them urgently, so he could only support her with all his strength. Then the two of them left the hotel and looked for shops in the market that sold ordinary elixirs, because the profits of elixirs for ordinary people were too low, and few shops were willing to operate them. The two asked several shops but none of them had any. The gift was bought, a jade pendant carved from the first-level spiritual material fire spirit jade, which was mainly used to warm the body and resist the cold. This function is useless for cultivators, but it is a rare treasure for ordinary mortals, especially for older people. A total of 12 fire spirit jade pendants were bought, each costing 10 spirit stones, which should be enough. As for common elixirs, the two decided to go to Jinzhou City now. After leaving the market, they flew directly to the city. They arrived in a few miles. After asking 2 passers-by, they finally found a Shinxin medicine shop and bought 12 bottles of strengthening pills and the same number of healthcare pills. Each bottle cost 2 spirit stones, and 24 bottles only cost 48 spirit stones. No wonder no one in the pharmacy in the market was willing to operate. This time they finally bought everything. It was a rare trip to the city, so the two decided to take a walk and take a look. Lin Changqing took Chen Ziya's hand and walked through the streets and alleys to feel the real fireworks of the world. There was an endless stream of people coming and going, and the streets and alleys were bustling. Twist stalls, tofu brain stalls, sesame cake stalls, snack stalls, and various fragrances filled the air. The whole city was full of the breath of life. At least it was many times more lively than the market town. The two of them walked and stopped, sightseeing along the way. Chen Ziya was obviously much happier and more lively. It was not until the evening that they left the city and returned to the hotel suite. Chen Ziya should not have felt this kind of liveliness for many years. After returning from the city, she still seemed a little reluctant to leave. Lin Changqing quickly spoke to dissuade her. "Junior sister, it's okay to feel the worldly fireworks occasionally, you must not linger on." Chen Ziya smiled and said, "No, don't worry, senior brother. I just miss my childhood when my father took us 3 brothers and sisters to the county town to go to the market. It was just as lively as before." Knowing that Chen Ziya was missing her family, Lin Changqing took her hand and rubbed it gently. He comforted her, "Then let's set off early tomorrow. We will be home in 2 or 3 days at most, and then you can see your family." Chen Ziya blushed and nodded gently. Lin Changqing talked with her for a while. Seeing that the time was about the same, they agreed on the time to leave tomorrow, and then said goodbye and went back to his room. He checked the room immediately, and after confirming that it was safe, he set up the small 5-element maze formation. He hadn't entered this space for several days, so Lin Changqing hurried in to take a look. He also had to feed the purple crystal scorpion, the hairball, and the black tiger cub in the spirit beast bracelet. He activated the magic circle and entered the inner space. Lu Xiaoya and Lu Yaoqiang soon appeared beside Lin Changqing, and then Lu Xiaoling. The whole family surrounded Lin Changqing and kept calling Yo-Yo, which was very enthusiastic. Lu Xiaoya kept getting into Lin Changqing's arms, but it was about 1.8 meters tall now, which was not small. Lin Changqing could only hug its neck and stroke its fur. Then it was Lu Xiaoling and Lu Yaoqiang. They were not left out. They stroked their fur and fed them a spiritual pill, and then let them play by themselves. Then he picked up the spirit beast bracelet and fed all the spirit beasts inside. The purple crystal scorpion was fine, and it was still the same as usual, with no problems. There was nothing wrong with Naokyu. He was still sleeping soundly, but the black tiger cub was a little hungry, so he quickly arranged some monster meat for it. He looked at Su Miniang again. She was practicing. She was fine, no problem. He would let her out to get some fresh air after leaving the space. He also took out the spiritual medicines and herbs that could be planted again from the street stalls, and planted them in different areas, especially the monster-luring herbs that Lin Changqing cared about the most. He had arranged to plant them together with the previous ones. There was also a piece of top-grade raw stone, but it was relatively small. Lin Changqing thought about it and decided to keep it for now. Now it would only add 20 to 30 acres of area to Lin Changliu, and it would still be empty there and unused. This top-grade raw stone might be useful in the future. He hadn't been here for several days, so he patrolled around the space and found nothing wrong, so he took the spirit beast bracelet and some supplies and exited the space. Chapter 164 Nanhutuang Mountain. Considering that Su Miniang had not come out for several days, Lin Changqing decided to release her from the spirit beast bracelet and let her go out for some fresh air. Of course, he had to wait a while. According to the old rules, he first released the 24 purple crystal scorpions, and then began to practice the Thunder Sutra, which he had not practiced for several days. When he practiced the exercises, the familiar feelings came again. After more than an hour, Su Miniang appeared in front of Lin Changqing with a big hand, wet all over. The sudden change of the scene made Su Miniang dazed for a moment, and then she immediately reacted and greeted Lin Changqing. "My maid has seen the master." Lin Changqing chuckled and said, "No need to be polite. I will trouble you again later. This is what my maid should do." Lin Changqing nodded and said nothing more. He left the magic circle, cleaned his body, and then returned to the magic circle to enjoy the free muscle massage provided by Su Miniang. Now Su Miniang's skills are getting better and better. After the massage, she felt much more comfortable. The two chatted for a while, and then Lin Changqing sent her back to the spirit beast bracelet. The next morning, after Lin Changqing completed his practice, they went to find Chen Ziya next door. After they met up, they returned the deposit and left the hotel. Because they had figured out the direction of Nan County yesterday, they flew directly to Nan County after leaving the market today. Chu Ai cruised over their heads and provided them with early warnings, which made the journey much safer. They flew for 3 days and found 2 hidden places to spend the night. Fortunately, they had experience in the secret realm and were able to do it with ease. They arrived in Nan County on the 3rd day, but they did not stay for long. They flew directly to Tongshan village. After about an hour, they had arrived at the entrance of the village. It was almost dusk, and they had seen the curling smoke in the air. Chen Ziya hesitated at the entrance of the village, reaching out to touch the old locust tree beside the entrance. Lin Changqing accompanied her quietly by her side without saying a word, knowing that she must be afraid of being close to home. However, some people in the village had already seen them. Several children were already shouting, "The Immortal Master is coming! The Immortal Master is coming! The Immortal Master is coming!" and then ran into the village. "Brother, let's go. I want to go home first. Junior sister, you are the landlord. Please lead the way." "I wonder if this is the first time for the new son-in-law to come to the house," Lin Changqing teased. Chen Ziya blushed when she heard this. She glared at Lin Changqing and said, "Brother, How can you do this?" Then she ran into the village. Lin Changqing followed her and laughed. It was so interesting to tease Chen Ziya, the ice and snow girl. Soon, he followed Chen Ziya to the gate of a large courtyard. Chen Ziya stood there again. Lin Changqing came to her side and said, "What's the matter? Junior sister, you are not hesitating at the door of your home, right?" Chen Ziya shook her head and said, "No, our family used to be here, but it was not like this." As soon as Chen Ziya finished speaking, the gate of the courtyard opened and a young man in his early 20s came out. Are you my younger sister?" The young man asked a little excitedly when he saw Chen Ziya at the door. Chen Ziya's eyes were red, she was choking and couldn't speak, she could only nod desperately. The young man shouted, "Little sister." Suddenly he remembered something, turned around and rushed back to the yard, shouting all the way, "Little sister is back, father, mother, little sister is back, little sister is back." The voice kept spreading to the depths of the yard. Soon a group of people rushed out of the yard, and a middle-aged couple in their 40s or 50s were even more anxious, running in the front. "Daughter, my daughter, you are finally back to see mother." At this time Chen Ziya also rushed up, hugged the middle-aged woman, and shouted, "Mother." After that, the two began to cry bitterly, and the middle-aged man also surrounded them, wiping tears. The young man just now was comforting, "Dad, mother, little sister, don't be like this. Our family reunion is a big happy event. We shouldn't shed tears, otherwise, let's go home first." Unexpectedly, as soon as he finished speaking, a large group of people came behind Lin Changqing, including men, women, young and old, and even an old man who needed help. Taoism village chief Chen Qingrong pays homage to the immortal master. After the old man who needed to be supported by others said this, he was about to bow down. Lin Changqing was unwilling to accept his bow, and he supported him with a flash of his body. However, the large group of people following behind bowed down and shouted, "Greetings to the immortal master." Lin Changqing frowned, not liking this scene, and shouted, "Everyone stand up, stop bowing, I don't like this." The old man who was supported by Lin Changqing also hurriedly said, "Everyone, stand up quickly and listen to the immortal master." A large group of men, women, old and young on the ground stood up. Lin Changqing didn't want to make himself look like a monkey and have people watching him all the time, so he told them, "Leave a few people who can take charge, and all the others should go home and not gather here." Old Master Chen Qingrong quickly called out by name, "Sainer and Shumaosk, and the rest of you should go back first, and don't gather here. The immortal master of Qingayan sect will definitely help us solve the problem." With the words of old Master Chen Qingrong, everyone dispersed in twos and threes, but there were still some people watching from a distance. Lin Changqing shook his head and ignored these people, as long as there was not a large group of people watching. Chen Ziya finally controlled her emotions and was talking with her family. When she saw Lin Changqing approaching, several people looked at him. Lin Changqing formally greeted Chen Ziya's family and said, "My nephew Lin family, Lin Changqing, greets my uncle, and brother." Chen's father was stunned for a moment, and then quickly realized that this was a child of another Lin family in the village. He came over to support him and said, "Nephew, you don't have to be so polite. Thank you for taking care of my little girl all the way, uncle, you are too kind. It is my duty to take care of my little sister." Chen Ziya's eldest brother also came over to greet him and said, "Hello, brother Lin. Thank you for taking care of my little sister all the way." Lin Changqing said helplessly, "Uncle, brother, our two families have been friends for hundreds of years. Let's not be polite anymore. Let's go in first. There are too many people outside, which is not a big deal. Yes, let's go in first. And Grandpa Zhuang, Uncle San, Uncle Shumao, everyone go in together," Chen Ziya's eldest brother said. Then everyone entered Chen Ziya's yard together. After Chen Ziya greeted several elders in the village, she was pulled to the backyard by her mother. It seemed that her mother had a lot to say to her. Everyone could understand them and naturally would not be surprised. Besides, Lin Changqing is here. Several leaders in the village were all looking at Lin Changqing. Finally, it was the old man Chen Qingzhuang who spoke first. "Master, have you received any call this time to help us solve the problem?" Lin Changqing nodded and said, "Boy Lin Changqing, I heard from the elders in my family that the Lin family also moved out of Tongshan village before, so you should call me by my name. This time when I escorted my sister home to visit her relatives, Senior Chen Jie also asked me to see if I can help you solve the problem. I wonder what problem the village has encountered. After hearing what Lin Changqing said, several leaders in the village became excited. That's great. It turned out that the master who came this time was a member of the Lin family who had moved away before, and he had such a deep connection with Taoism village. The old man's face turned red with excitement, and he said happily, "That's great, Master Lin, since you have such a connection with Taoism village. Then this old man will give it to you. You must help us, otherwise many people in the village may not be able to survive." Lin Changqing hurriedly said, Okay, I will definitely help, but old man, don't get excited, talk slowly." Lin Changqing was very scared when he saw his red face, thinking that something bad might happen to him suddenly. Chapter 165, It can only be understood but not expressed in words. At this time, another middle-aged man next to him said to him, "Dad, don't be too excited. Let me talk to the immortal master." The old man also realized that it was not good for him to do so he could only nod his head, agreeing to let his son talk. Lin Changqing also nodded. This was the best. The middle-aged man sorted out his thoughts a little bit and started to introduce, "Master Lin, this is what happened. About 2 months ago, the hunter in the village went into the mountains to hunt. Normally, he would come back on the same day, but he came out after 2 days. Everyone guessed that he might have encountered an accident. They thought he might have encountered some ferocious beast, so they organized a large group of villagers to go into the mountains to search, but they did not find the hunter's body or any traces of the ferocious beast. After searching for a while, there was no result. There was no way, so the matter was left unresolved. Later, one after another, several hunters went into the mountains and never came out again. Even later, even if 2 or 3 people went into the mountains together, the result was the same, and they went but never came back. Because Taoism village is mostly mountainous, there are not many paddy fields and dry fields. Many villagers make a living by hunting. Now, no one dares to go into the mountains anymore, and the livelihoods of many families have become a problem. So please, Master Lin, help us find out the reason so that everyone can go into the mountains to hunt again." After saying that, he looked at Lin Changqing expectantly. After hearing this, Lin Changqing frowned and asked, "Didn't you go to find the nearby garrison cultivators or immortal families?" It was Chen Ziai's father who explained, "We did. We first looked for the Liu family in Nan County, but they came to look for it several times and couldn't find the reason. Later, we found a way to contact the immortal master of Qingyuan sect and pass the news to the great-grandmother." Lin Changqing knew it was not that simple. The villagers of Taoism village went into the mountains to hunt, referring to the outer areas of the Qingyuan mountains. There were no monsters living in this area, and basically there were only some ordinary animals. Now the local cultivators have come to see it several times, but they haven't found the reason. This is obviously not something that ordinary animals like tigers and leopards can do. It should be a monster of a higher grade. Lin Changqing guessed that this thing is either very good at hiding or has a high level of cultivation. But Lin Changqing is still sure to find it. Of course, this must rely on Shui. He said to several leaders in the village, "I already know the matter. I have a spiritual beast, the golden winged bird. I will send it to look for it in the next few days. Then we will know what it is. Don't worry, I will definitely help you solve the problem. Now everyone go back first, and I will inform you when there is a result." After that, in order to make the villagers believe, Lin Changqing also walked out of the living room and summoned Shui, who was cruising in the sky. In front of everyone, he gave it instructions, and then fed it a spiritual pill, and let it go to perform the search mission. The villagers saw that Lin Changqing summoned a majestic golden bird and ordered it to look for suspicious targets. Everyone was relieved. Now they just need to wait for the results, and they all thanked Lin Changqing. The old man wanted to invite Lin Changqing to a banquet on behalf of Taoism village, but he refused, saying that he would wait until the problem was solved and let them go back first. Everyone was satisfied and left Chen Ziai's house under the leadership of the old man. After seeing off the villagers, only Lin Changqing and Chen Ziai's father and eldest brother were left in the living room. Knowing that the family had not seen each other for so many years, they must have a lot to talk about. So he took the initiative to ask them to arrange a place for him to stay, and then told them not to bother with him, and he would go to them if he needed anything. Then he invited them back, so as not to delay their family reunion. Lin Changqing still had some vision. He went back to his room to rest. After all, he had been on the road for 2 or 3 days. But before resting, He took out the array plate of the small 5-element maze array and arranged it around the room. He also took out the first-level spirit gathering array plate prepared by his grandfather, as well as the jade slip explaining how to arrange it. After carefully studying it, he arranged the spirit gathering array in the room. Lin Changqing had to prepare first. After all, he planned to switch to the 5 Elements Chaos Sutra here, and all aspects had to be arranged properly. He also released the spirit-seeking mouse hairball, but forgot about the purple crystal scorpion. After all, it was too dangerous to release the purple crystal scorpion in Chen Ziya's house. Let's wait until the time comes to officially start practicing the Chaos Sutra. After all the trouble just now, it was now completely dark. After persisting in practicing the Thunder Sutra for an hour and a half, and after some arrangements, Su Mingyang was released. After enjoying a free muscle massage, it was also a way to relieve the fatigue of driving the flying boat for the past 2 or 3 days. Half an hour later, after sending Su Mingyang back to the Spirit Beast bracelet, Lin Changqing laid down to rest. The next morning, after Lin Changqing completed his practice as usual, he asked someone to invite Chen Ziya over. Now the two sat opposite each other, and Chen Ziya was making tea for Lin Changqing. Quietly appreciating Chen Ziya's tea art, it should be because of going home to reunite with his family. Lin Changqing felt that Chen Ziya was a little different today. How to say it? It felt sunny. But this is a good thing. Lin Changqing is very happy that Chen Ziya has these changes. At least now it will not make people feel deserted anymore. Maybe this is also because Senior Chen Ziya saw her problem and specially arranged this home visit. Brother, please have some tea. He smiled at Lin Changqing, and then handed a cup of tea to Lin Changqing. Lin Changqing saw Chen Ziya's bright look, and then couldn't help it. He gently held Chen Ziya's jade hand with one hand and took the teacup with the other hand. Although Chen Ziya had experienced it many times, she still blushed. Fortunately, Lin Changqing didn't hold her for too long, so he let her go and started talking about business. Junior sister, I already know about the problem in the village. It may be caused by a monster that is good at camouflage and concealment. I have sent Chu Ai to search that area, and I believe it won't be long before we find it. It's just that I have nothing to do these few days, so I want to officially start practicing the 5 Elements Chaos Sutra, which will take about 3 to 5 days. During this time, I will release the purple crystal scorpions to protect the law. You tell your family not to get close to here to avoid being injured by mistake. After the transformation is successful, I will come out naturally, don't worry. Also, if Chuai finds the monster, you must not act on your own. You must wait until I come out of seclusion before you can take action, understand? Chen Ziya nodded and chuckled, brother, don't worry, I won't go anywhere these days. I will stay at home with my parents and family, and protect you. By the way, Lin Changqing laughed when he heard it, and said, junior sister is always so considerate, so I can rest assured to practice the new technique. After finishing the business, the two of them drank tea and chatted. Chen Ziya mainly talked about the changes in her family after leaving home for 10 years, including her eldest brother getting married and having children, and now giving her a nephew and 2 nieces. Her sister also got married, and married to Nan County, where they just passed by yesterday. Her brother-in-law is still a scholar, and now he has given birth to a son and a daughter, and so on. She told Lin Changqing about these more important things at home so that he would have a rough idea in his mind. After all, to be the son-in-law of the Chen family, he should at least know the situation of his father-in-law's family. This can be regarded as Chen Ziya's more euphemistic way to tell Lin Changqing her feelings. Of course, this is a tacit understanding between the two of them, and it can only be understood but not expressed in words. After drinking the spiritual tea, Chen Ziya said goodbye and left. Lin Changqing also activated the small 5-element maze formation around the room, and then fed the purple crystal scorpion group in advance and placed it in the room to protect him. There were also 2 fur balls and black tiger cubs, and they were prepared with nurturing pills and monster meat in advance. Then Lin Changqing officially closed himself off. Chapter 166, Relationship. After installing the spirit stone on the spirit gathering array that was set up yesterday and activating it with a spell, the spirit gathering array began to work. Lin Changqing sat cross-legged in the center of the array, took out the jade slip of the 5 Elements Chaos Sutra, and once again sorted out the exercises for the key refining period. After confirming that there were no problems, he officially began to practice. He practiced a 5 Elements Chaos Sutra, with the spiritual energy in the danshan, and started to practice according to the new practice path. Fortunately, they were all chaotic attributes, so there was no need to disperse the power and practice again. After running the new practice with the spiritual energy in the Danshan for 12 cycles, Lin Changqing finally found that the total amount of spiritual energy had decreased a little. But the quality of spiritual energy has improved a little, which is still the result of the continuous supply of spiritual energy from the spirit gathering array. After knowing the principle, he had a rough idea in his mind, and continued to practice the 5 Elements Chaos Sutra to convert spiritual energy. This process took longer than Lin Changqing expected. Originally, he expected that he would be able to successfully complete the transformation in 3 to 5 days, but he did not expect that it would take a total of 10 days, and his cultivation level also dropped from the 8th level of key refining to the 5th level of key refining. The total amount of spiritual energy was also reduced by about 6 levels, but the quality was more than twice as much as before. It is estimated that when he cultivated to the 9th level of key refining, the quality would be just about 5 times that before the transformation. In other words, the magic weapon that used to require 10 points of spiritual energy to control once now only requires 4 points of spiritual energy to control, and Lin Changqing feels that his foundation is very solid now, as solid as a rock and as stable as Mount Jiufeng. He is also very good at controlling spiritual energy, and everything goes smoothly. Lin Changqing had just completed the transformation here, and it was actually very lively outside. It was mainly the villagers in the village. It was okay in the first few days, but in the next 5 or 6 days, they came to Chen Ziya's house almost every day. When Lin Changqing came out of retreat, he saw Chen Ziya sitting outside his room. Seeing that Lin Changqing had successfully come out of retreat, Chen Ziya finally breathed a sigh of relief. In the next few days, she had to worry about Lin Changqing and deal with the elders in the village. The villagers outside came to her house every day and asked her to help exorcise the demon. She was a little overwhelmed, but now Lin Changqing finally came out. "Brother, that's great. You're out," Chen Ziya said happily, relieved. Junior sister, seeing Chen Ziya's worried look, she was still guarding the door to protect herself. Lin Changqing's heart was moved, and he couldn't help it anymore. He hugged her tightly in his arms. This time, he hugged her softly and was reluctant to let go for a long time. Chen Ziya was suddenly hugged by Lin Changqing. At first, her body was stiff, but then it became soft like noodles. If Lin Changqing hadn't held her, she might have fallen down, and her face was red. Her hands were a little at a loss at first. But finally she hugged Lin Changqing's waist. Smelling the breath of Lin Changqing, her heart inexplicably settled down. "Junior sister, when we get back, I will ask the clan leader and grandfather to come forward and ask for marriage from Senior Chen Jie and grandmother. As for your parents, I will wait for the right time and ask them for marriage myself. Are you willing to marry me and become my Taoist partner?" After hearing what Lin Changqing said, Chen Ziya was extremely happy and shy. She could only press her face tightly against Lin Changqing's chest and responded in a low voice, "Little sister is willing, and everything will be arranged by senior brother." The two of them hugged each other quietly, and no one spoke to ruin the beauty of this moment. After a long while, Chen Ziya remembered that there were still a lot of elders and villagers waiting outside. She had to whisper, "Senior brother, there are many villagers outside, let's go and deal with them first." Lin Changqing was reluctant to let her go and nodded, "Okay, let's go and take a look first." Then he recalled the purple crystal scorpion group and recovered the array plate of the small 5-element maze array. Then the two of them walked towards the living room of the Chen family. Before they arrived, they could already hear the noise inside. After looking at each other, they stepped into the living room. As soon as they entered, all the noises in the living room disappeared immediately. After all, the villagers were still very awed by the Immortal Master. In the end, it was the old man Chen Qingzong who reacted, and the leader Lin Changqing greeted him. "I have seen the Immortal Master Lin." After the villagers bowed, they shouted, "We have seen the Immortal Master Lin." Lin Changqing held the old man and said, "I'm sorry, everyone. I didn't expect that this practice would take 10 days. It's much longer than I expected. I've kept you waiting for a long time. My spirit beast Golden Winged Bird has discovered a problem, so don't gather at the Chen family anymore. After I give a few instructions, I will go into the mountains to solve the problem. Now everyone go back first." In fact, on the second day of Lin Changqing's retreat, Chuai had searched that area for several hundred miles several times. Unexpectedly, There was no harvest at all. Later, he used his innate magic, the golden eye, to see something. The expected monsters that were good at hiding were not found, but a magic circle was found about 30 or 40 miles away from Tongshan village, a magic circle specially used for concealment. Chuai had already told Lin Changqing about the discovery of this magic circle through the contract on the second day of Lin Changqing's retreat, but he was at a critical moment of transformation at that time and could not come out at all. So he just asked Chuai to fly farther away and never get close to the magic circle. Just stare at it from a distance and wait for Lin Changqing to come out before dealing with it. Now Lin Changqing has come out, but because this time is completely different from what he expected, he is not going to bring Chen Ziya with him. It is not safe to bring her with him. After all, it is obvious that he is facing cultivators, and he does not know how many people are inside, and whether there are any foundation-building cultivators inside. In this case, it is more convenient for him to come alone. He has the light gauze magic weapon that can make him invisible, and Lu Yaoqiang and Lu Xiaoya who can do wind escape, so his safety can be basically guaranteed. If all else fails, he can still reveal his trump card and release Lin Changqing to give them a skewering. I believe that even if they are in the same foundation building stage, others cannot withstand Lin Changliu's sudden attack. After all, Lin Changliu's roots can even pierce through the void, not to mention 1 or 2 defensive spiritual weapons, which can also be strung together by Lin Changliu in a minute. The other villagers wanted to say something else, but they were all stopped by the old man Chen Qingzhuang. Then he took everyone to say goodbye to Lin Changqing and Chen Ziya's father, and then said goodbye and left. He left cleanly and neatly without any dragging. Lin Changqing nodded. This old man is a wise man. No wonder he can still be the village chief at such an old age. He turned to Chen Ziya's father and eldest brother and said, "Uncle, brother, I'm so sorry. There was a little accident during this retreat, and it took longer than expected. I've caused you a lot of trouble. I'll go into the mountains in a while to see what's going on and try to solve the problem before coming back." Chen Ziya's father smiled and said, "Nephew is too polite. It's not a trouble at all. In fact, it's just to entertain the elders in the village and calm everyone's emotions. There's no trouble." Chen Ziya's eldest brother also said, "Yes, you and my younger sister are both immortal masters, and everyone doesn't dare to say anything too excessive. They just hope that the problem can be solved quickly so that everyone can go into the mountains to hunt." Lin Changqing nodded and said, "Uncle and brother, please rest assured. It shouldn't be too long. There are already some clues." He turned to Chen Ziya and said, "Junior sister, I won't take you into the mountains this time. You stay at home with your parents and family. I'll be back soon." Chen Ziya shook her head and said, "Brother, let me go with you. I can also help with hunting monsters. At least I can set up a magic array to trap the monsters inside." Lin Changqing still refused and said, "I have been looking for 2 days on the first day of the first month, but I haven't found any spirit beasts, so it shouldn't be a monster. It is very likely to be done by a cultivator. But as long as we are in the mountains, it will be easy to deal with. And you know my methods. That is my hunting ground for spirit beasts. No matter how many people come, it is the same to me. Nothing will happen. Don't worry. You just wait for me to come back at home." Chen Ziya also knew Lin Changqing's ability. If she went to deal with a cultivator, Lin Changqing would have to distract himself to take care of her, which was indeed inappropriate. So she could only agree to let Lin Changqing go into the mountains alone, and kept reminding him to pay attention to safety. If the opponent is too strong, don't take risks, come back early, and then ask for help from Qinghai Insect. After Lin Changqing nodded in agreement, he said goodbye to Chen Ziya's family, controlled the flying sword, and headed into the mountains. Chapter 167 Red Fire Copper Ore. After leaving Chen Ziya's house, Lin Changqing flew into the mountains on his sword, and many villagers in Tongshan village saw him. Of course, Lin Changqing did this on purpose, in order to let everyone know that he had entered the mountains, so that the villagers would not bother Chen Ziya's house anymore. After flying for more than 20 miles, he landed and summoned Chuai down. Through the contract, he knew that Chuai had seen a total of 5 cultivators in the past 7 or 8 days. The good news is that they are all in the key refining stage. As for how many cultivators are in the formation, and whether there are any foundation-building cultivators, Chuai doesn't know. So after considering it, Lin Changqing decided to catch a live person to ask. After communicating with Chuai, he chose a place, took out the array plate of the small 5-element maze array, and arranged it. This time, he also made a special adjustment to adjust the range that the array plate can cover to the maximum, with a radius of 100 meters, and arranged it in the place chosen by Chui. That's right, it was chosen by Chui. It has been observing for a few days, and naturally knows that the cultivators in the formation will often pass by there. Now it has been arranged, and the purple crystal scorpions are also scattered inside and outside the magic circle, waiting for the fish to take the bait. Once they enter the magic circle, they will be handed over to the purple crystal scorpions. Lin Changqing will not take it himself. Anyway, the sound will not be transmitted with a magic circle. This is also the reason why Lin Changqing specially arranged this magic circle, which is to soundproof so that the monks inside can shout at the top of their throats and no one will know. Now Lin Changqing is in the magic circle, but he is covered with a magic veil, so others can't see him. Soon more than 2 hours passed, and finally a figure rushed over quickly, holding a person in his hand, but he did not come out of the magic circle, but came back from other places in the mountains. But it's the same, Lin Changqing just needs a living person to understand the situation inside the magic circle. When the figure broke into the coverage of the magic circle, Lin Changqing cast a spell, and the small 5 elements maze formation was officially activated, and white mist immediately floated in the magic circle. The monk who entered the formation immediately became alert, dropped the person in his hand, and immediately took out 2 magic tools, one for attack and one for defense, from his storage bag, and shouted to the people around him, "Who is it? Come out." Unfortunately, Lin Changqing ignored him and handed him over to the purple crystal scorpion group. The white mist was lingering in the maze formation. The monk was obviously also an experienced veteran in fighting. He immediately pasted 2 defensive talismans on his body, held a defensive magic tool in his hand, and began to wander around in the formation. It can be said that he dealt with it very well, but unfortunately he encountered the purple crystal scorpion. When the big sun purple light needle passed through the 2 layers of defense barriers and stung his feet. A scream that was extremely shrill came out and echoed inside the formation, but it didn't get out. The purple crystal scorpion succeeded. Lin Changqing quickly stopped the purple crystal scorpion from attacking him. Otherwise he would be stabbed by the purple crystal scorpion twice more and die, and then the 2 hours of waiting would be in vain. When he came to the monk, he saw that the person lying on the ground twitching was a middle-aged monk, about 40 years old. After confirming that he had lost the ability to resist, he immediately took off everything on him and tied him up. He looked at the person he had just thrown to the ground and found that the person had fainted. He was a villager dressed as a hunter. He knew that he had found the right person. He returned to the middle-aged captive and didn't want to waste time. He threw a water ball at his face to make him sober up. Lin Changqing asked expressionlessly, "What's your name? Why are you here? What's the point of catching these hunters?" After the middle-aged monk woke up and saw this situation, he knew that he was captured and estimated that he would definitely not end well, so he simply shut up and said nothing. Seeing him like this, Lin Changqing knew that he was a tough guy. With a thought, a purple crystal scorpion came to the root of his thigh and hit him. This time the scream was even more shrill and sharp. Lin Changqing was worried that his vocal cords would be torn. The whole person arched up in pain, and then fell heavily to the ground again. Cold sweat ran down his body and he gasped for breath. It took a while for him to recover. "Do you want another try?" Lin Changqing asked expressionlessly. The middle-aged cultivator said hoarsely, No, I said it. My name is Bai Jing, and I'm a casual cultivator. We found a red refined fire copper mine here. We want to mine it as soon as possible, so we will catch hunters we meet and use them as miners." When Lin Changqing heard about the red refined fire copper mine, his heart skipped a beat. Lin Changqing knew about such a famous thing. The red refined fire copper mine is the first choice for refining first-level alchemy furnaces and refining furnaces. In addition, the red refined fire copper can also be refined into red refined crystal copper, which is the main material for refining second-level spiritual furnaces. Even the second-level red refined crystal copper can be used as an auxiliary material for a magic furnace. So since hearing that there is a red refined fire copper mine here, Lin Changqing has been thinking about how to occupy it. He continued to ask, "How many of you are there in total? What is your cultivation level?" The middle-aged cultivator hesitated for a moment, and in order not to suffer, he answered, "There are 6 of us, including me, and we are all cultivators in the key refining stage." Our cultivation levels range from the 6th level of key refining to the great perfection of key refining. Lin Changqing frowned and continued, so there are 5 more people in the formation. Introduce them to me and tell me in detail. The middle-aged cultivator nodded and continued, our boss, Chen Bao, has the cultivation level of the great perfection of key refining. He has a first-level top-level swift thunder leopard spirit beast and a spirit-seeking rat. This red refined fire copper mine was discovered by the spirit-seeking rat. Chen, who is our boss's younger brother. He has the strength of the 8th level of key refining and 2 first-level late-stage swift wind wolf spirit beasts. There is also a Liu Dongming who can be regarded as a military advisor. Usually, the boss always likes to discuss things with him. He also has the strength of the 9th level of key refining. Li Xinyang is our boss's mistress, and she is also at the 8th level of key refining. She doesn't usually participate in hunting and is mainly responsible for the team's logistics. Li Yaoxiang has just joined not long ago, and is usually close to Liu Dongming. She is at the 6th level of key refining. Hearing this, Lin Changqing's heart moved. The remaining 5 people, and a few spirit beasts, are already very strong when combined, but Lin Changqing still has the confidence to catch them all in one fell swoop. But the problem is that their boss's 2 brothers look like disciples of the Yuling sect. He continued to ask, are your 2 brothers disciples of the Yuling sect? The middle-aged cultivator thought for a moment and shook his head. I don't know. I have never heard them talk about their origins. Are the missing hunters from several nearby villages caught by you and taken to that mine to work as miners? What is the scale of the red refining fire copper mine in it, and when will it be mined? Yes, except for 1 or 2 who tried to escape and were killed by the boss in front of everyone to scare the monkeys. The others are all in the mine. Our boss judged that this red refining fire copper mine should be considered a small vein. As for when it will be mined, I really don't know. But our boss is also afraid of the long night and many dreams, and he has been desperately urging the miners to work. It is estimated that it won't be too long. Lin Changqing nodded and continued to ask, tell me about your division of labor, and also tell me the formula for entering and exiting the magic circle. Think it over carefully, and don't try to lie to me, otherwise you will be stung by the scorpion every day in the future. The middle-aged monk shuddered and said quickly, I dare not. Our boss is in charge of sitting at the entrance of the mine. The array of the hidden magic array is also there, and the fire copper ore we dug out is also placed with him first. The 5 of us are responsible for patrolling for 1 day each, ensuring the safety of the mine, and catching hunters we meet to work as miners. After saying that, he demonstrated the formula for entering and exiting the hidden magic array again, and Lin Changqing memorized it in his heart. Fearing that he was making it up, he asked him to demonstrate it several times, and after he confirmed that they were all the same, he knocked him out and put him in the Spirit Beast bracelet. Chapter 168 Internal and External Annihilation. He began to communicate with Chu Ai through the contract and learned that there was indeed only one monk who came out for patrol every day, and that Bai Jing had not lied to him. Then no one should come out today, but he was afraid that the people inside would find that Bai Jing had not returned, and thus become alert, which would alert the enemy. So he might as well take the initiative. Let's go in and release the purple crystal scorpion. Among the 5 monks, the 2 brothers Chen Bao and Chen Hu are the most dangerous, so even if they can't be solved together, at least one should be solved first. After making up his mind, he summoned the purple crystal scorpion group back. After thinking about it, he didn't recycle the maze formation. Maybe leaving it here would bring unexpected gains. He took out the magic veil, covered himself, and then approached the hidden magic formation. It took a quarter of an hour. Finally, he came to the edge of the magic formation and used the magic formula taught by Bai Jing to successfully enter the magic formation. As soon as he entered, Lin Changqing began to release the purple crystal scorpion group. After releasing them, the scorpion group disappeared and dispersed, so Lin Changqing had time to observe the situation inside. The magic circle also covered a radius of 100 meters. The entrance of the fire copper mine was in the center. There were 5 houses around the entrance. The remaining 5 people, except the boss, should be in the house. This was easy to deal with. With a thud, 20 purple crystal scorpions were assigned around each house, and the remaining 24 were sent to the mine. The purple crystal scorpions surrounding the 5 houses were soon in place. After thinking about it, Lin Changqing felt that the boss was the most dangerous, so he followed the 24 purple crystal scorpions into the mine. After going in for more than 100 meters, He saw a middle-aged strong man who had reached the great perfection of key training leaning against a corner to meditate. There were also many piles of unprocessed ores around him. Lin Changqing didn't dare to stare at him, for fear of alerting him. He could only glance at him occasionally with his peripheral vision and hold the golden silk escape light needle in his hand, so that he could make up a knife or something when necessary. He didn't dare to let too many purple crystal scorpions approach him together, so he only arranged the one in the late stage of the first stage to go up to perform the task. However, when he was about to touch him, he was still discovered. The sturdy man shouted, "Who's there?" Then he reached for the spirit beast bag and wanted to release the spirit beast. Lin Changqing didn't give him a chance. With a thought, several more purple crystal scorpions pounced on him. Ah! 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 Several consecutive screams spread throughout the mine. Not only the miners in the cave heard it, but also the 4 remaining monks outside. The golden needle in his hand flew out and gave the monk a needle on the head. He shouted into the cave, "I'm here to save you. Stay where you are and don't come out." Then he ignored them and walked out of the cave. With a flip of his hand, the thunder horn appeared in his hand, and then he quickly injected spiritual energy into it. With the cooperation of Babe, a Jiangjing divine thunder was quickly generated, which was not fired. Just after leaving the cave, 2 more screams were heard. It was obvious that they were the voices of a man and a woman. The remaining 2 people were quite clever. They didn't go through the main door, but flew in the room and rushed out from the roof. They just saw Lin Changqing and rushed towards him without any nonsense. At the same time, the flying swords in the hands of the 2 people also flew away, one on the left and one on the right to strangle Lin Changqing. Lin Changqing's consciousness immediately locked on the cultivator with a higher cultivation level. Boom! The Jiangjing divine thunder came later and arrived first, blasting the cultivator into several pieces. At this time, 2 flying swords arrived on the left and right. Lin Changqing didn't dodge at all. He just moved his mind and the 2 thunder shields protected him tightly. After 2 ding, one of the flying swords lost the control of its owner and fell beside Lin Changqing. The other one circled half a circle and attacked Lin Changqing again. Lin Changqing was a little speechless. This cultivator of the 6th level of key refining was very courageous. He didn't run away, but controlled the flying sword to attack Lin Changqing again. But that was it. 3 golden needles were lined up in a row and flew out from Lin Changqing's hand. The first 2 broke through the 2 layers of defense shields on his body, and the last one penetrated his brain. His body immediately paused and fell from midair. With a thought, 3 purple crystal scorpions rushed up and finished off. The other 2 just lost the ability to resist. Now they had to be dealt with, lest they recover again. All the things on the 2 monks, a man and a woman, were taken away, including storage bags, spirit beast bags, and several magic tools that fell on the ground. Then they were all tied up and put into the spirit beast bracelet, and went to accompany the old man Baijing. The rest was time to clean up the battlefield. First, the things on the 2 monks who fell outside were collected. But when I was cleaning up the spoils of the unlucky guy who was struck by lightning, I felt a little disgusted. There was blood and some colorful things. Lin Changqing also endured a discomfort and, based on the principle of not wasting, threw several water balls to clean up before picking up the things. And the flying sword he was controlling at the time was bent by the Jiangjing divine thunder, and was found dozens of meters away. After scanning twice with his spiritual sense and confirming that there was nothing missing, he turned back to the mine and unloaded all the things on the boss Chen Bao. After thinking about it, he decided to use the storage bag that had been used to hold Wang Yaozong's body to pack up the 2 complete bodies. Keep it first. When interrogating the 2 robber cultivators, it may have some unexpected uses. Then looking at the piles of red refined fire copper ore in front of him, these things have not been refined yet and take up more space, but there is no way, he must put them away first. Fortunately, Lin Changqing has a spirit beast bracelet, and only uses the smallest space inside to put all the ore in. Thinking of the houses outside, Lin Changqing decided to take a look before dealing with the villagers who were captured to work as miners in the mine. He checked the 5 houses one by one, and found nothing else, just some daily necessities, but found about 2 cubic meters of ore in each house. After checking, it was found that these should be ores with a relatively high content of red copper. Lin Changqing deliberately put these 10 cubic meters of ore in another space. With an idea, he dismantled these houses and some usable building materials and put them in a large storage bag. In this way, the building materials needed in the inner space were available, and Lin Changqing didn't have to buy them specifically. It happened that Su Miniang was an earth-type cultivator, so he threw all these to her and let her build the yard herself. This time, he really made full use of everything, and didn't let go of anything. He used the fireball technique to blow several houses into ruins to prevent anyone from seeing anything. He also kept 24 purple crystal scorpions and distributed them in the magic circle, and recalled the rest to the spirit beast bracelet. After scanning back and forth several times with his spiritual sense, he confirmed that there was nothing missing and then walked into the mine caves again. His spiritual sense explored each mine cave one by one, and soon he had a rough idea in his mind. The ore in many mine caves had been mined out, and the remaining 87 villagers were all concentrated in the last 3 mine caves. He shouted to the villagers inside, "It's okay, you all come out, I have dealt with those robber cultivators, and everyone can go home." When the people inside heard Lin Changqing say this, they immediately cheered loudly, and then all rushed out. They all came to Lin Changqing, knelt down and kowtowed, thanking him loudly. "Thank you, Master, thank you, Master, thank you for the rescue." Lin Changqing had a headache after hearing all the chatter, so he could only shout, "Stop, stop arguing, get up, is there anyone from Tongshan village here? Someone who can take charge, come out and answer." The servants then looked at a tall, thin and strong man, who then stood up and said to Lin Changqing, "Thank you, Master, for the rescue. Chen Shuguang from Tongshan village greets you." Lin Changqing nodded and said, "Stop talking nonsense. It will be dark in another hour. Are you sure you can take these people back to Tongshan village safely? Or stay here for one night and set off early tomorrow morning? It's your choice." As soon as Lin Changqing finished speaking, everyone below shouted, "Go back, go home, leave now, I don't want to stay here." Such words. Lin Changqing could only shout, "Stop." The crowd quieted down. Chen Shuguang and other people from Tongshan village, lead the team in front, and those behind you should follow closely and don't get lost. I will protect you in the air. Now everyone should go back to Tongshan village first, and then wait until tomorrow, and the others will go back to their own villages. Let's set off." Then he cast a spell to open a hole in the concealment array and let them go out. He remembered that he had left a small 5-element maze array outside, and there was a villager inside. Lin Changqing quickly flew over, took back the array disk, and took the villager to reunite with the main force. It took these ordinary people more than 2 hours to walk the mountain road of 30 or 40 miles to return to Tongshan village. When so many people came back, the whole Tongshan village was in an uproar. Seeing that several leaders in the village had come out, Lin Changqing gave them a few instructions, asking them to take good care of all the people who came back, and then went back to Chen Ziya's house alone. Chapter 169. Eat it all. Because the whole village was in an uproar, everyone knew that the missing person had been rescued by Lin Xianqi, so when Lin Changqing returned to Chen Ziya's house, the Chen family was waiting in the living room. As soon as Lin Changqing came in, he was warmly received by the Chen family. Even so late, the Chen family prepared a table of sumptuous meals to entertain Lin Changqing. It was hard to refuse such a kind invitation, and since they were Chen Ziya's father and brother, Lin Changqing had to give them face, so he simply invited everyone in the family to come to the table. Because it was just worldly food, Lin Changqing only tasted a moderate amount of each. His main attention was spent on the conversation with the Chen family father and son. After all, they were family friends for hundreds of years, and they exchanged some family situations with each other. Lin Changqing also introduced his own family by the way. Chen's father had also experienced some worldly things, and this time Lin Changqing accompanied Chen Ziya back together, so he actually had some guesses in his heart. Later, Chen Ziya's eldest brother asked Lin Changqing to tell everyone about the experience of rescuing the villagers this time. This was exactly what Lin Changqing wanted. He was good at telling stories. After all, he had been a storyteller for his sister. He told the story of Monkey King's havoc in the heavenly palace. But this time, it was something he had just experienced personally, so he added some embellishments and processed it a little. Everyone in the Chen family was fascinated by it, as if they were in the scene. The ups and downs made them unable to stop. When they heard the exciting part, they wanted to help Lin Changqing and beat up those robbers together before they would stop. The banquet lasted until nearly midnight, and the Chen family went back to rest with reluctance. The main reason was that Lin Changqing told this story so well that even Chen Ziya was fascinated by it. The two agreed to come to Lin Changqing's place for tea tomorrow morning, and then go back to rest. Lin Changqing returned to his room and practiced a Thunder Sutra for another hour and a half to consume his excess energy. After enjoying the muscle massage service provided by Su Mingyang, he laid down to rest. The next morning, many villagers from other villages rescued by Lin Changqing yesterday came to the door of Chen's house in kowtowed. After thanking Lin Changqing for saving their lives again, they set off to go home. The earliest of these people had been away from home for more than 2 months, and the youngest had been missing for several days. The luckiest one was the villager that Lin Changqing rescued from Beijing yesterday, but now everyone is eager to go back and reunite with their families. In the morning, not long after Lin Changqing finished practicing, Chen Ziya came over. After Lin Changqing broke the window paper yesterday, the relationship between the two quickly heated up and was different from before. Anyway, after Chen Ziya finished making tea, Lin Changqing took the initiative to stick to her, and the two leaned against each other, chatting more casually and intimately. As the two chatted, Lin Changqing mentioned that there was still a formation plate in the red copper mine cave that was almost mined yesterday, and Chen Ziya said she wanted to take a look. Anyway, all the robbery cultivators had been dealt with, and there would be no danger in going there now, so Lin Changqing agreed. The two of them controlled the flying boat and arrived in a short while. This was many times faster than the speed of the villagers returning yesterday. Lin Changqing cast a spell on the hidden magic circle, and the two entered the hidden magic circle. Chen Ziya began to observe and quickly determined the location of the array and the method of recovery, but did not act immediately. Instead, she pulled Lin Changqing and the two went inside to check the situation in the mine. Chen Ziya also cast spells on the wall of the cave from time to time. It should be to detect the remaining reserves of the mine. Lin Changqing did not understand these things and could not help, so he could only accompany her. Chen Ziya worked for about an hour and finally got a rough answer. Brother, this mineral vein can only be regarded as a micro vein to a small mineral vein. After this period of violent mining, it is basically mined out. The 3 remaining mines in the innermost can only be regarded as tailings. I looked at it and found that only about 20 to 30 cubic meters can be collected, and the quality looks very ordinary. In addition, this time, so many villagers have been rescued and returned to the village. Maybe the Nanliu family will send people to check it out soon. Do you have any plans? Lin Changqing couldn't help laughing after hearing this. What plans can he have? Anyway, it won't be cheap for others. After thinking it through, he said to Chen Ziya, Junior sister, why don't we blow up this mine hole? Whoever wants to mine, just go and dig it by themselves. Anyway, it's none of our business. It must be those robbers who escaped and came back to blow up the mine hole to cover up their traces. After hearing Lin Changqing's shameless words, Chen Ziya rolled her eyes at him and couldn't help laughing. That was the decision, but before the mine was blown up, Lin Changqing went in alone again, but soon came out again. Chen Ziya thought he was going to see if there was anything missing inside, so she didn't think much about it. Then Chen Ziya took back the array of the hidden magic circle, and Lin Changqing recalled the 24 purple crystal scorpions that were left there yesterday. Then the two began to fire fireballs at some key parts of the cave wall, especially Lin Changqing, who was close to the perfect instant fireball, one after another, in a series, and the power was even greater. After 100 or 200 fireballs, the entire cave mine collapsed. If they wanted to go down to mine, they had to spend a lot of effort to clean it up. It would be impossible without a month or two, and even if someone really went to clean it up, it was estimated that there would be no slag. Anyway, I believe that Lin Changqing will definitely not waste it. After cleaning up the traces left by the two again, he drove the flying boat back and returned to Tongshan village in a short while. As soon as they came back, they heard a lot of noise at home. The two looked at each other, and then decided to fly directly to the yard where Lin Changqing lived to see if they could hide away for a while. Unexpectedly, after a while, Chen Ziya's eldest brother came to invite them, saying that the village was going to hold a big banquet and invited Lin Changqing to the banquet to thank him for helping the villagers. After Lin Changqing politely declined, not long after, Chen Ziya's father came again. This time he had to give face. After all, he was his future father-in-law. He could only agree to go to the Chen family ancestral hall for a banquet at noon. Chen Ziya's father then went out with a red face to report. It seemed that inviting Lin Changqing made him feel very face-saving. Seeing that Lin Changqing gave his father such face, Chen Ziya was very satisfied and performed a tea art for Lin Changqing. At noon, Lin Changqing, accompanied by the Chen family father and son, went to the Chen family ancestral hall for a banquet and enjoyed the highest level of treatment. A lot of elderly men and old men accompanied them for dinner. There was no other way. The standard was so high. During this period, people kept coming to toast, and Lin Changqing accepted all of them. Anyway, they all drank to the spirit beast bracelet, and went to the space where Lu Xinyi stayed. Then he could clean it up together. This big feast lasted 2 or 3 hours, and dozens of men were drunk, but Lin Changqing remained calm. Everyone realized how powerful Lin Changqing was, and they dared not come to toast again. When I returned to the Chen family, it was almost evening, and I returned to my room. Thinking that I hadn't seen Chu Ai for 2 days, I prepared to call it back. Chu Ai was very happy these 2 days. This place is not far from the outer perimeter of Qingyuan mountain range. Chu Ai can reach the outer perimeter of Qingyuan mountain range in a short flight. It was almost crazy these 2 days, so I quickly called it back, otherwise it would go wild. Chu Ai came back not long after. Unexpectedly, summoning it back also brought Lin Changqing a surprise. It actually kidnapped a wild golden winged bird. However, the golden winged bird did not dare to land and circled in the sky. Lin Changqing had an idea and returned to the room. After a while, he went out again. Then he called Chu Ai over, took out a red fruit, and asked him to give it to his wife as a gift from Lin Changqing. Soon, Chu Ai flew up with a red fruit, and the 2 golden winged birds communicated in the air for a while. Soon, Chu Ai landed next to Lin Changqing again. The golden winged bird hesitated for a while and also landed. However, the landing location was quite far away, about 20 to 30 meters away from Lin Changqing. It seemed that it was still very wary of Lin Changqing. So he did not go over and went back to the room by himself. He would talk about it tomorrow and let the new golden winged bird get used to it. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170 Squeeze Him. Lin Changqing returned to the room, brewed a pot of green jade tea, and sipped it slowly. I didn't expect that Chu Ai was so powerful. He just went out for a day or 2 and actually kidnapped a wife. Let's let them get used to it tonight. Starting tomorrow morning, slowly contact the new golden winged bird to see if we can build a trusting relationship with each other and tame it with Chu Ai as a bond. We will talk about this tomorrow. Now that I have successfully switched to the 5 Elements Chaos Sutra, I have to change my daily practice plan. In the morning, I practiced a new fundamental law, the 5 Elements Chaos Sutra. After a rest, I began to practice the thunder control technique, including Zhengjin Shenli, Kishu Yinli, water control technique, 5 elements escape technique, and some commonly used spells. As for the Yuan Pei Sheng Sheng Shu, Lin Changqing considered it and decided to practice it occasionally. After all, with Liu Yaoqiang's family around, he shouldn't have to do it himself in the future. When I return to the family, I can practice it while taking care of the spiritual medicine and plants. The Thunder Sutra should still be practiced 2 hours before the break, and 1 or 2 more hours can be squeezed out every day, so this time can be used flexibly. In this way, the approximate time of the day is arranged, and it can be executed according to this in the future. There are still 3 captives in the Spirit Beast bracelet, 2 of whom have not been interrogated yet, so let's deal with them today. But before that, we must first take out the array plate of the small 5 elements maze array and arrange it. Do it when you think of it, and then release 24 purple crystal scorpions, invisible around, just in case. After thinking about it, let the female cultivator out first. The sudden change of environment made the female cultivator stunned for a moment, but then she reacted and realized that she was going to be dealt with. Lin Changqing took a look at her and estimated that she was in her 30s and looked okay, otherwise the robbery cultivator boss would not have taken a fancy to her. But this had nothing to do with Lin Changqing. Then, he said expressionlessly, if you don't want to experience that extreme pain again, then you should answer whatever I ask, understand? The female cultivator looked at him uneasily and nodded, knowing that this time it was related to her life and death. Lin Changqing continued to ask, what's your name? What are your specialties? My name is Zhao Liu. I am a first-level superior spiritual plant master, and I also learned some beast control techniques from Chen Bao. After saying that, he looked at Lin Changqing with a face full of desire. Lin Changqing was a little surprised, But he continued to ask, since you are a first-level spiritual plant master, why do you still want to be a robbery cultivator? Zhao Liaoyu shook her head and said, as a casual cultivator, it's not that easy. Even finding a spiritual land to farm will be exploited and even bullied. After a year of hard work, it is only barely enough for basic cultivation. There is no savings, and you have to suffer a lot of anger. Lin Changqing listened, but did not say anything, and turned to ask questions about Chen Bao. What are the origins of the two Chen Bao brothers? Are they disciples of the Yuling sect? Zhao Liaoyu thought for a while, but still shook her head and said, I haven't heard them talk about this, but I feel that they should not be. It is possible that they got the inheritance there. If they are really disciples of the Yuling sect, they should not dare to pass on the Yuling technique. Isn't this a violation of their oath? Lin Changqing nodded, thinking that what she said made some sense, and asked another question. After this mine is dug, what do you plan to do with these captured miners? Zhao Liaoyu hesitated for a moment, but still said, the two Chen Bao brothers and Liu Dongming mean to kill them all. Otherwise, sooner or later someone will trace us and know that we have obtained the red refined fire copper ore of this entire vein. Liu Dongming calculated that all of them can be refined into red refined fire copper and sold to one Bayo pavilion, which is enough for all of us to practice to the foundation building stage. So we must not be soft-hearted and leave such a big hidden danger for ourselves. Lin Changqing stared at her and asked seriously, what do you think? How do you want to deal with these captured miners? I want to know your true thoughts. Zhao Liaoyu hesitated for a moment, as if she wanted to say something but stopped herself. Although she hadn't spoken yet, Lin Changqing already knew the answer and knew how to deal with her. He raised his hand to stop Zhao Liaoyu and told her not to continue. Have you ever sold the ores you collected? Zhao Liaoyu shook her head quickly and said, no. Chen Bao and Liu Dongming both meant to leave here after all the ores were collected. In order to prevent the news from leaking out, no one else was allowed to leave privately. When the time came, everyone would share the spiritual stones after selling them. That's why there were so many ores that they couldn't be put in, and finally they were piled up in the mine. Lin Changqing nodded. He saw this with his own eyes. At this point, he had basically asked all the questions he should have asked, and Lin Changqing had already made a decision on how to deal with her. After knocking her unconscious, he put her back into the spiritual beast bracelet. Then, he released Chen Hu again. The environment suddenly changed. After Chen Hu was stunned for a moment, he quickly reacted. Looking at Lin Changqing standing in front of him, he knew that this person had plotted against them. He was so excited that his face turned red and he cursed directly. This man was a man. He probably knew that he would not survive, so he cursed directly. However, he was so unruly that Lin Changqing would not tolerate him. Amethyst Scorpion is an expert in treating all kinds of disobedience. With a thought, a purple crystal scorpion shot him at the root of his thigh. The shrill and sharp screams echoed in the magic circle. Lin Changqing couldn't help but covered his ears. The sound was too sharp. Fortunately, it was in this magic circle, otherwise the whole village would probably hear it. Chen Hu arched up in pain, and then fell heavily to the ground. He was sweating all over and gasping for breath. It took a while for him to recover. Chen Hu, how is it? Is it satisfying? If not, I can give you another one, Lin Changqing asked expressionlessly. Chen Hu's voice was hoarse, and he said with difficulty, what do you want to do? Lin Changqing said lightly, nothing, just answer me a few questions. Chen Hu smiled bitterly and said, ask, I will tell you everything I know. It's good to be able to communicate. So he asked directly, tell me about the origins of you two brothers. I'm quite curious. With your strength, you are considered a lead among the cultivators in the key refining stage? Chen Hu sighed, and did not answer Lin Changqing's question directly. Instead, he stared at Lin Changqing and asked, will you kill me whether I say it or not? Lin Changqing's heart moved, and he decided to squeeze him, so he said, yes, I have no reason to let you go. Of course, if you have something that can redeem your life from me, you can take it out. But let me make it clear first, I can't leave a scourge for myself. I will destroy your cultivation and find you an ordinary village for you to spend the rest of your life. But you still answer my question first. My patience is limited. After hesitating for a moment, Chen Hu finally spoke up and said, we are originally independent cultivators from the Yuling sect. We usually go into the mountains to hunt monsters and earn spirit stones in exchange for cultivation resources. Of course, we also do some robbing cultivators occasionally. Unexpectedly, One time in the mountains, we met an injured cultivator who looked like he had just fought with others. We couldn't help but attack him, and it took us a lot of effort to kill him. Later, when we checked the storage bag, we found out that the man was actually a core disciple of the Yuling sect. We immediately knew that we were in big trouble, because the one who died was a core disciple of the Yuling sect, and we would definitely investigate it thoroughly. There was a high probability that we would be found out, so we didn't dare to stay and immediately left the Yuling sect's sphere of influence. We have been to many places over the years and finally came here. Lin Changqing's heart moved. Could it be? Chapter 171, The Spiritual Control of 10,000 Beasts. Lin Changqing's heart moved. Could it be that he was going to have a great fortune this time? Could it be that he won a big prize? So Lin Changqing asked tentatively, then the beast control technique of both of you is also found in the storage bag of the core true transmission. Chen Hu laughed and said, I know what you are thinking. You don't need to test me. I can tell you clearly that your guess is correct. We found the core inheritance technique of the Yuling sect, the 10,000 beasts controlling spirit sutra in his storage bag. The core disciple's body jade card, plus this core inheritance technique. We know that staying in the Yuling sect's sphere of influence will definitely mean death, so we left so easily. Lin Changqing was a little excited when he heard him say this. He took out the storage bags of the two brothers and began to offer sacrifices. It took a while to offer sacrifices. Chen Hu saw Lin Changqing offering sacrifices to the storage bags of the two brothers, and laughed twice, but didn't say anything else. Seeing Chen Hu's attitude, Lin Changqing's heart sank and he had a bad feeling. Not wanting to mix up the two people's things, he dumped all the things in Chen Bao's storage bag on the ground. He swept aside the spiritual stones, magic tools, elixirs, high-quality red copper ore, clothes and other sundries, and mainly looked for books or jade slips. He soon found the book and 2 jade slips. He looked at Chen Hu, and he still had the same expression. He flipped through the book and found that it was Chen Bao's practice notes, which was not very useful to Lin Changqing. Then he picked up a jade slip and put it on his forehead to check the contents. He found that this one was not, but a book called Records of 10,000 Beasts. This is a relatively useful information. Keep it first. It will definitely be useful in the future. You can also take it out and read it at ordinary times, just as an increase of knowledge. Then make a copy for the family's sutra pavilion. It can also be regarded as giving back to the family and enriching the Lin family's heritage. He picked up another jade slip and put it on his forehead to read it. He found that this one was not, but a secret technique called 3 hearts and 2 minds, which is the favorite secret technique of the disciples of the Yuling sect in the key refining period. Being able to command 2 or 3 spirit beasts at the same time, and the cultivator himself can also control 2 magic tools to fight together. It is a very practical secret technique. It is still useful even in the foundation building stage. However, this is not what Lin Changqing is looking for, so he can only put it away first, and by the way, put all the things on the ground back into the storage bag. He poured out the things in Chen Hu's storage bag again, and also looked for books and jade slips. This time, he only found 2 jade slips, and even the cultivation notes were gone. He looked at the contents of the 2 jade slips and found that they were the records of 10,000 beasts and the secret technique, 3 hearts and 2 minds that he found before. Lin Changqing was a little disappointed, but he didn't show it. He stared at Chen Hu and asked, "Did you prepare it a long time ago?" Chen Hu said a little proudly, "Yes, I prepared it a long time ago, but I didn't wait for the people from the Yuling sect, but waited for you instead." Seeing his proud look, Lin Changqing really wanted to give him another shot, but after thinking about it, he held back, worried that he would kill him. Decide this account and settle it once and for all later. Lin Changqing's face had turned cold, and he said expressionlessly, "Say it clearly once and for all, don't challenge my patience again, otherwise you will suffer." Seeing him like this, Chen Hu shuddered, and was afraid that Lin Changqing would be stimulated and hide him again. He quickly explained, "The thing is this, we were afraid of being found and killed by the Yuling sect, so we thought of a way to hide their core skills. If we are unfortunately caught by the people of the Yuling sect that day, we will use this to negotiate with them and see if we can survive." After hearing what Chen Hu said, Lin Changqing was depressed. Such an old-fashioned man who has been struggling in the world of immortal cultivation for decades is indeed the most difficult to deal with. In order to survive, he can think of any way. Although he knew that it was impossible to be nearby, he still couldn't help asking, "Then where did you hide the Yuling sect's skills?" Chen Hu was straightforward this time and answered directly, in the Xian'an sect, near the Xian'an Mansion Market. After hearing this, Lin Changqing couldn't help but sigh in his heart. He knew that it was not that easy. It seems that good things are more difficult than they should be. Originally, I was going to kill Chen Hu after asking him a few questions, but this time I had to let him live. But I couldn't let him live so happily, so I had to collect some interest first. After making up his mind, Lin Changqing walked up and lifted him up. Chen Hu realized that something was wrong and asked quickly, "Wait, what are you going to do?" Lin Changqing also imitated him and laughed, and stretched out his hand to break his dancing kihei. Chen Hu screamed and twisted in pain in Lin Changqing's hand. The spiritual energy in his body began to overflow from the damaged dancing and the pores all over his body. Not long after, all the spiritual energy in his body dissipated. Without the spiritual energy in his body, Chen Hu is now just immortal. Chen Hu didn't expect Lin Changqing to be so ruthless and not give him any chance. He was so angry that he gritted his teeth and stared at Lin Changqing with red eyes, looking like he wanted to bite off a piece of his flesh. Seeing him like this, Lin Changqing's mood improved again. As expected, happiness is built on the suffering of others. Then he was untied, lest he be strangled to death by the blockage of blood circulation if tied up for too long. He was knocked unconscious again and put into the spirit beast bracelet, and a lot of food and drink were found and thrown into it for him, as long as he was not dead. When there is time, I will go to the Xian'an market of Xian'an sect to take a look. Now there is no other way, I can only keep him in the spirit beast bracelet first. Fortunately, I only need to throw something to him to aid in the future, and ignore him at other times. This Sanbao spirit beast bracelet was originally for spirit beasts to live in, but now it is almost becoming a prison cell in Lin Changqing's hands, and many captives have been imprisoned in it. Shaking his head, he put all the things that fell on the ground back into Chen Hu's storage bag, and he will find time to sort them out with Chen Ziyi soon. Lin Changqing was still a little depressed because he missed the core skills and was happy for nothing. It took a lot of time to interrogate the two captives. The spiritual tea that had just been brewed had gone cold, so Lin Changqing brewed another pot. After drinking it, he was ready to start practicing the Thunder Sutra. However, when he was drinking tea just now, he thought about it again. It seemed that he had missed something important. He always felt that something was wrong. Forget it. If I can't remember it, I won't think about it. Let's practice first. He got into position and began to practice the Thunder Sutra. The thunder spirit energy generated began to stimulate the acupuncture points, and all kinds of familiar feelings came again. After an hour and a half, he was sweating all over again. He let Su Miniang out, gave a few instructions, and went outside to clean his body, and then returned to the maze. Enjoying the muscle massage service provided by Su Miniang, her skills are getting better and better, and Lin Changqing is still quite satisfied. Half an hour later, Lin Changqing was about to send Su Miniang back to the Spirit Beast bracelet, but she was hesitant to speak. Seeing this, Lin Changqing knew that she was in trouble, and asked directly, "Do you have something to tell me?" Su Miniang nodded quickly and said, "Yes, Master, the green jade tea you gave me last time is finished. I wonder if you can give me some more." Lin Changqing suddenly realized that the small box that Xiaosi gave her really didn't have much. It has been used until now, and it is estimated that only a little bit is used each time. After thinking about it, I have tested Su Minian quite a lot, but I have never found any problems. In this case, why not officially get her into the inner space and give her some 100 flowers soul intoxicating wine? In this way, the injuries on her soul will naturally heal, and she won't have to ask me for green jade tea anymore, and it can also improve her cultivation realm. Suddenly thinking of the cultivation realm, boom, Lin Changqing finally reacted and realized what he had missed just now. Chapter 172, Being Fooled. Although he wanted to understand the problem he had missed just now, Lin Changqing still decided to deal with Su Miniang's problem first. He nodded to her and said, "I understand. You go back to the Spirit Beast bracelet first. I will take you to a place first." Although Su Miniang was a little confused, she still nodded and followed Lin Changqing's arrangement. After sending Su Miniang back to the Spirit Beast bracelet, Lin Changqing checked around twice and confirmed that there was no problem before entering the inner space. Lu Yaoqiang's family was still so enthusiastic. Being surrounded by the three of them and calling Yo-Yo, Lin Changqing could only feed each of them a soul-raising pill and end stroke. Therefore he also told them through the contract that someone would come in later and live here permanently in the future, and asked them to get along well with the newcomer. Then he released Su Miniyang from the spirit beast bracelet. After just coming out and looking around, she was completely confused and didn't know where this place was. Fortunately, Lin Changqing was by her side, which made her feel a little safe. She quickly asked, "Master, what is this place? Why does it look a bit desolate?" Lin Changqing glanced at her and introduced, "This is the secret place I told you about. You will practice and live here in the future. There are also a few of my spirit beasts here. Let me introduce them to you." After that, he called Lu Yaoqiang's family over. They are auspicious spirit beasts, 3-color deer. The guy with horns on his head is Lu Yaoqiang, this one is Lu Xiaoya, and the youngest is Lu Xiaoling. They are family. You should get along well here and try to take care of each other. They are mainly responsible for taking care of the spirit medicines, spirit herbs, and spirit plants here. You are responsible for picking and preserving some ripe spirit fruits and the like. There are also some tasks that they can't do, which are all yours. You will slowly know how to do them in the future. At this time, Lu Yaoqiang's family had already surrounded the two of them and called Yo-Yo. Su Miniyang greeted them enthusiastically and they were considered to be acquainted. Seeing how beautiful and elegant they were, Su Miniyang couldn't help but reach out to touch Lu Xiaoling, but unfortunately Lu Xiaoling wouldn't let her touch him. After seeing her intention, she dodged and hid behind Lin Changqing. Su Miniyang could only withdraw her hand in disappointment, and then Lin Changqing began to take her around in the space. He introduced all kinds of spiritual medicines and spiritual plants, mainly the Earth Soul Fruit Tree and the Centennial Red Fruit Tree, and the more important ones to Su Miniyang, so that she wouldn't be unfamiliar with them and make any mistakes in the future. Including the 9 main medicines of the Foundation Building Pill and the Purple Mansion Twinkling Pill, as well as the Jade Spring Heart Tea Tree, all of these were introduced to her in detail. Under the care of Lu Yaoqiang's family, the several spiritual trees that Lin Changqing brought out from the secret realm, as well as the roots and stems of those spiritual plants, have been successfully planted, and the situation is not bad. Including the 2 Jade Spring Heart Tea trees planted by the pond, some branches have already grown. In less than a year or two, Lin Changqing will have an endless supply of Yuquan Heart Tea. So it will be much easier for him and his family to practice various magics. It took almost an hour to introduce this circle. Fortunately, it was all introduced, and she could slowly learn the rest by herself. Then he took Su Miniyang to an open space and pointed to the open space and said, "There is no house suitable for living here. You are a cultivator with earth attributes, so you must know earth wall techniques. Just build a yard here." After that, he gave her 2 storage bags, one of which contained some building materials collected by Lin Changqing in the mine. The other was Su Miniyang's own storage bag, because she used to live in a spirit beast bracelet and couldn't bring the storage bag in, so Lin Changqing had to keep it for her first. Su Miniyang was a little confused when she heard the master asked her to build a yard by herself. She had never done it before and had no idea how to do it. She told Lin Changqing about this situation. Fortunately, Lin Changqing had experienced it in Aoyan Peak and knew how to build a yard. So Lin Changqing directed and Su Miniyang took action. The two of them cooperated and the speed was quite fast. In about an hour, they had a rough outline. After all, it was convenient for Earth-type cultivators to build houses. The rest was the more detailed adjustments in the yard, which was left to Su Miniyang to do. The yard they built was not too big, with only 6 rooms in total, which should be enough for the time being. There were storage bags for daily necessities, so there was no need to worry. They also moved the dozens of containers and tools they had bought for brewing wine to the yard, and it was almost done. By the way, Lin Changqing also took Su Miniyang to see the deep pit and told her not to fall in, otherwise Lin Changqing might not be able to save her. After confirming that Su Miniyang had no problems, Lin Changqing exited the inner space. As for the 100 Flowers soul intoxicating wine, Lin Changqing had something to deal with now, and would take it out for Su Miniyang to take in 2 days. Now he wanted to find Chen Hu and ask 2 more questions. He exited the inner space and released Chen Hu from the beast bracelet. He lay on the ground motionless, his eyes dull and lifeless. After a while, he finally reacted. Seeing Lin Changqing standing in front of him, he asked indifferently, "What do you want me to do again?" Lin Changqing looked at him coldly and asked, "To what extent can the core skills of the Yuling sect be cultivated? Think about it carefully before answering me." Chen Hu didn't expect Lin Changqing to ask this question suddenly. He was a little caught off guard. He hesitated for a while before saying, "It can be cultivated to the great perfection of the Purple Mansion stage." Lin Changqing sneered, "A key refining stage disciple can actually run around with the sect's core inherited skills of the Purple Mansion stage. Do you think I'm a fool? I'll give you one last chance. Tell me the truth. If you dare to lie to me again, I'll send you to death immediately." Chen Hu then said with a stiff face. At that time, that person was already in the late stage of key refining. The skills found on him can be cultivated to the early stage of the construction stage. After hearing this, although Lin Changqing knew that this was the most reasonable explanation, he still couldn't help but feel disappointed. He took out some paper and pen from the storage bag and threw them to Chen Hu. "Write out the technique for me. Don't tell me you didn't write it down. If you didn't write it down, I don't want you anymore, and you'll die right now. I'll ask you to write it down again after a while. If the two techniques are different, you'll die too." Chen Hu shuddered when he heard this, knowing that Lin Changqing was not joking. If he dared to refuse now, he would definitely die on the spot. He honestly picked up the paper and pen on the ground and started to write it down. After more than an hour, the technique of more than 4,000 words was already in Lin Changqing's hand. After putting Chen Hu into the Spirit Beast bracelet, Lin Changqing had time to study this technique carefully. It turns out that the prerequisite for practicing the 10,000 Beasts Yuling Sutra is a strong soul power, which can also be understood as a strong mental power. Coupled with this special contract and unique technique, it constitutes the core inheritance of the Yuling sect. Everyone in Lin Changqing's family meets the conditions for practicing this technique. After all, they have all taken some Earth Soul fruit. But now the technique only reaches the initial stage of foundation building, which is too useless. It is a pity to throw it away. Moreover, this technique was written by Chen Hu. To be honest, Lin Changqing didn't dare to believe it, and he couldn't tell the truth from the false. Because even if he only changed one word, it might be 1,000 miles away, so it can only serve as a reference. To put it bluntly, this 10,000 Beasts Yuling Sutra is to borrow the qualifications of spirit beasts and the spiritual energy they advance to achieve the effect of faster advancement. And even if the techniques written by Chen Hu are all true, but there are only techniques for the initial stage of foundation building, it is obvious that the way forward is cut off, and it is definitely impossible to practice. Unless you can get the subsequent techniques from Yuling sect, otherwise, it is really useless. However, to provoke Yuling sect is obviously an egg hitting a stone, and it is an act of overestimating one's own ability. After spending so much effort, I was happy for nothing. However, Chen Hu, this kid, dared to fool me. Then Lin Changqing would not let him go, and he would deal with him together in 2 days. Chapter 173, Alert Red Refined Crystal Copper. The next morning, Lin Changqing finished practicing the 5 Elements Chaos Sutra, and not long after, Chen Ziya came over. Now the two are used to meeting each other every day, staying together for a while to drink tea and chat, and then separate to do their own things. Lin Changqing is now enjoying Chen Ziya's tea art performance. Maybe, at this time, the relationship between the two is different, and the mood is naturally different, and the things they taste are of course different. The more he watched, the more he felt that Chen Ziya's temperament was icy and extraordinary, which made people feel itchy and couldn't help but tease her. "Brother, drink tea." Now the two have a close relationship, and talking to each other has become very daily. Seeing that Chen Ziya had already made tea, Lin Changqing ran to her side and sat next to her. Fortunately, he didn't make any other movements. Chen Ziya's face was just a little red. She was used to it. Why didn't she realize that Lin Changqing was so thick-skinned before? After Lin Changqing leaned against Chen Ziya and drank a cup of tea, he took out 6 storage bags and 2 spirit beast bags from his arms. She said proudly, "Junior sister, let's take a look together to see if there are any good things in there. These are the storage bags and spirit beast bags of the robbers who captured the villagers to mine. Yes, there were 6 people in that robbery group, none of them escaped, and they are all here. Brother, you are amazing, you are getting rid of harm for the people, I admire you. Can you take me with you next time so that I can see your power with my own eyes?" After saying that, she looked at him expectantly. Hearing Chen Ziya say this, Lin Changqing said twice proudly. However, he did not respond to Chen Ziya's words, nor did he pay attention to her expectant expression. He could only deal with her with a smile. It was still too dangerous to take her with him when fighting with others. Lin Changqing did not dare, and was even more reluctant. Then the two began to sacrifice the storage bags. because Lin Changqing had already sacrificed the storage bags of the two brothers Chen Bao and Chen Hu. So each person only needed to sacrifice 2 storage bags, and the contents of the 6 storage bags were all poured on the ground. There were really a lot of things, and they piled up a lot. Then the two began to sort them out by category, and soon they were sorted out. Among them, high-quality red refined fire copper ore accounted for the vast majority. In the 6 storage bags, there were only more than 8,000 low-grade spirit stones, less than 9,000, and no medium-grade spirit stones were found. The harvest of magic tools was not bad, with 3 medium-grade magic tools and 12 high-grade magic tools, almost half of which were offensive and half were defensive. There were 3 extreme magic tools, one was a tortoise-shell shield-shaped defensive magic tool, and the other 2 were 2 flying swords, 1 gold and 1 fire. Lin Changqing wanted to give the tortoise-shell shield-shaped defensive magic tool and the gold flying sword to Chen Ziya, but she refused, so Lin Changqing did not force her. There were more pills, more than 30 bottles, including 7 or 8 bottles of Yuling pills, as well as common pills such as Juki pills, Huchen pills, and Huki pills. 3 red pills were found in a bottle. This kind of pill has a very strong smell of blood. However, Lin Changqing did not dare to try the elixir he did not recognize, so he could only put it aside for now. When he met junior sister Zhao Mingxia in the future, he would ask her for advice. He picked out 6 bottles of Yulingdan and gave them to Chen Ziya. Now she also had a spirit beast to raise, so she did not refuse this time and accepted it with pleasure. The dozen bottles of Qijudan were also divided into medium grade and high grade. Lin Changqing picked out the high grade ones, which he could use himself. As for the medium grade Qijudan, he would see how to deal with them in the future. He might sell them to the family or simply let Lin Changqing absorb and digest them. The next thing was some sundries and personal items. He put them all in a storage bag and found a place to deal with them with the fireball technique when the time came. This time, 12 cubic meters of high-quality ores were sorted out from the 6 storage bags. Lin Changqing put them all in the spirit beast bracelet and put them together with the high-quality ores harvested last time. The rest of the things were put into the corresponding storage bags. Lin Changqing sacrificed and refined the remaining 2 spirit beast bags by himself, and soon finished them. After getting one, he probed it with his spiritual sense and found a peak first-order swift thunder leopard and a mid-order first-order soul-seeking rat inside. Unfortunately, they were both dead. It seems that this should be Chen Bao's soul beast bag. The 2 soul beasts died because of Chen Bao's death. They were both killed by the backlash and could only be left as food for Lin Changqing's soul beasts. In the other soul beast bag, there were 2 late-order first-order swift wind wolves. They were still alive and well. Chen Hu was still alive, so his 2 soul beasts naturally did not suffer the backlash. There was no way to deal with them now. I could only put them away first. After dealing with Chen Hu in 2 days, I would see if they could withstand the backlash. However, even if they could withstand the backlash, they would probably still be killed by Lin Changqing. Because Lin Changqing didn't like this kind of swift wind wolf at all, let alone contract them. It's better to keep them for the purple crystal scorpion and Shuai as food in the future. After sorting out all the things, the 2 of them went back to drink tea and chat. Brother, how do you plan to deal with those red fire copper ores? Chen Ziya suddenly asked. Lin Changqing thought for a while and said, take them all back to the family and entrust them to the General Affairs Hall to refine them into red fire copper. Chen Ziya chuckled and said, brother, why not entrust it to junior sister Hu to refine it directly into red crystal copper? Lin Changqing hesitated for a moment and said, it's not good to always bother junior sister Hu. Chen Ziya glanced at him and smiled and said, she might even wish you would bother her often. Lin Changqing immediately smelled a hint of jealousy and said alertly, you should come forward and talk to her about this. I'm not often in Qingyuan City, so it's more convenient for you to contact her. Chen Ziya thought for a while and said, you should talk to her. When you are no longer in Qingyuan City, I will take over from her on your behalf. Since Chen Ziya said so, Lin Changqing nodded, agreeing to this arrangement. By the way, junior sister, I saw you cast some spells in the mine cave that day to know the specific situation of the vein. Is that the surveying technique? Did you learn the inheritance of the geomancer? Chen Ziya nodded and said, it is the surveying technique. Because the inheritance of the formation master and the geomancer has some similarities, I learned it by the way. Then the spirit eye spring we found in the secret realm, is it because of insufficient cultivation that we have not moved it? Lin Changqing asked with enlightenment. Senior brother, you are really wise and guessed it right at once. That's right. To move the Spirit Eye Spring, you need at least the cultivation of the Purple Mansion period to barely move it. And there is a 50% chance that the Spirit Eye Spring will be damaged, causing it to fall into a long period of dormancy and self-healing. So to move this kind of spiritual object, it is best to find a Jinden's Henren, which is the safest. Lin Changqing nodded. This time he gave up. Before reaching the Purple Mansion, if he encountered such a spiritual object, he could only watch. After drinking a pot of spiritual tea with Lin Changqing, Chen Ziya went back. This time when she came back to visit her relatives, she mainly wanted to spend more time with her parents and family. Since Chen Ziya has gone back, Lin Changqing also wants to practice magic and activate the maze array. After thinking about it, he decided to practice thunder magic. This kind of powerful magic should be practiced in a relatively safe place. It cannot be practiced on the passenger ship of Wanbao Pavilion. The days passed like this, and 5 days passed unknowingly. This morning, not long after Lin Changqing and Chen Ziya finished their practice, they were gathering together to drink tea. Unexpectedly, several leaders in the village, accompanied by a middle-aged cultivator, walked towards Chen Ziya's house. Lin Changqing's spiritual sense can now detect a distance of 90 feet, and he discovered them early. Lin Changqing smiled and said to Chen Ziya, "We have a guest coming. It is probably a cultivator from the Nan and Liu families. Go to the pavilion in the back garden and make some tea. I will go and greet him. The sooner we deal with him, the sooner we can finish the job." Chen Ziya also scanned with her spiritual sense. They just happened to be within her spiritual sense detection range. She was a little surprised at the power of Lin Changqing's spiritual sense. But now was not the time to ask this. Lin Changqing had already walked to the door. Lin Changqing had just stood at the door when the guest arrived. Several leaders in the village hurriedly greeted Lin Changqing and said, "Greetings, Master Lin." When the middle-aged cultivator saw Lin Changqing standing at the door, he understood that he was here to greet him, so he saluted first and then said, "Nan Liu family, Liu Yantao greets fellow Taoist." Lin Changqing also hurriedly returned the salute and said, "Jiufeng Mountain Lin family, Lin Changqing greets fellow Taoist Liu. Junior sister Chen has already brewed spiritual tea and is ready to entertain fellow Taoist Liu. Please come in." Liu Yantao nodded and followed Lin Changqing in. As for the people from the village, they were entertained by the Chen family. Chapter 174, Smooth and Tactful. Because they were going to entertain fellow Taoists, it was definitely impossible to do it in Lin Changqing's room, which was transformed into the back garden of the Chen family. When the two arrived, Chen Ziya had already made tea in the pavilion and was waiting for them. After Liu Yantao and Chen Ziya greeted each other, the three of them sat down in the pavilion as host and guest. "Brother, fellow Taoist Liu, please have some tea." Chen Ziya sent a cup of tea to each of them. "Thank you, Fairy Chen." Liu Yantao was more respectful to Chen Ziya. After all, he knew that she was an inner disciple of Qingyuan sect and represented Qingyuan sect to a certain extent. And there was a Jinden's Henren behind him, so although Tongshan village was the territory of their Liu family, they had the same attitude. Fortunately, Liu Yantao of the Liu family was the Liu family's special person in charge of external affairs, and he was very good at all aspects of human relations. He did not ask about the mines and veins right away, but had tea and chatted with Lin Changqing. Liu Yantao shared some local customs and even asked about the situation in Qingyuan City. Fortunately, they were not too difficult and were all questions that the two could answer. There were also some difficulties of Nan and the Liu family mixed in. He was a very versatile person. After talking about this and that for more than an hour, Liu Yantao got to the point and asked the most important question this time. He praised Lin Changqing. "I heard that it was fellow Taoist Lin who rescued several nearby villages and many villagers this time. His merits are immeasurable." Lin Changqing chuckled and said, "Fellow Taoist Liu, you are too kind. The Lin family also left Tongshan village. This time when we came back, we just happened to meet them and solved them. In addition, many robber cultivators escaped this time. I don't know if they will come back in the future. My junior sister and I can't stay here for too long. In the future, we still have to rely on fellow Taoist Liu and other fellow Taoists of the Liu family. Please take care of Tongshan village." When Liu Yantao heard that Lin Changqing said that many robber cultivators escaped, his brows furrowed, and he asked quickly, "Fellow Taoist Lin, do you know how many robber cultivators escaped?" Lin Changqing had already thought of a way to deal with this question, and replied, "When I went in, I only saw 2 robber cultivators. I was very nervous at the time, thinking that if I was attacked by them, I would have no chance of winning, and I might even lose my life. The only way at that time was to attack one first. If it succeeded, it would be a one-on-one fight, and there might be a chance of winning. So I used the protective trump card given by my elders, the Yin Li's Hu. Fortunately, I was lucky and killed one robber cultivator on the spot. The other one heard the thunder and rushed to kill me, but he only entangled with me for a while, and I don't know how he retreated on his own. I quickly called all the villagers out and told them that I had dealt with all the robber cultivators. At that time, I just wanted to reassure them, and then I took them back to Tongshan village overnight. However, I heard from the villagers that there seemed to be a total of 6 robbery cultivators, but for some reason, I only met 2 robbery cultivators that day. I haven't met the remaining 4 people yet. At that time, I didn't dare to stay there for a long time, because I was afraid that the robbery cultivator who left would gather his accomplices and return to the mine again, and then we couldn't leave. When Liu Yuntao heard that there were a total of 6 robbery cultivators, and 5 of them actually got away, his head began to hurt. When the time comes, the 2 of them will pat their butts and leave, and the Liu family will have to stay here to clean up this mess. He sighed and continued to ask, "I heard that the villagers were captured by them to mine." Lin Changqing nodded and said, "That place is indeed a mine cave, but I went in to check the specific situation inside. I didn't see anything. After all, I don't know much about mineral veins, so I didn't waste time there. The main reason is that I didn't dare to delay too much time. However, I still found some ore in the storage bag of the robber. After discussion and identification by my junior sister and I think it should be the ore of the red refining fire copper mine." After speaking, he took out a piece of ore from the storage bag and handed it to Liu Yuntao. Liu Yuntao took it in his hand and turned it over and over to examine it carefully, and even took out a magic weapon from the storage bag to test it. In the end, he agreed with the 2 of them that it should be the red refining fire copper mine. This time Liu Yuntao was a little excited. Even if this mineral vein was a micro vein, if he collected it completely and exchanged it for spirit stones at Wanbao Pavilion, he could at least buy 2 or 3 foundation building pills. Could this be his chance to advance to the foundation building stage? He quickly asked, "Fellow Taoist Lin, where is the mine? I'll go take a look. If a robbery cultivator comes back, we can prepare early to avoid being caught off guard by them." Seeing Liu Yuntao's eager look, Lin Changqing and Chen Ziya looked at each other, and Chen Ziya couldn't help laughing. Lin Changqing also saw the smile on her lips, and quickly spoke to track Liu Yuntao, saying, "Fellow Taoist Liu, I can tell you the approximate location, but you must be careful. If things can't be done, let's retreat first. It's better to find a few more people to go together. I think this is the safest way." Liu Yuntao nodded repeatedly and said, "Fellow Taoist Lin is right. I will observe from a distance first. If there are too many robbery cultivators coming back, I will have to ask the 2 fellow Taoists for help." Lin Changqing nodded and said, "The mine is just southeast of Tongshan village, about 30 or 40 miles away. Fellow Taoist Liu should be able to find it if he looks carefully. Fellow Taoist Liu can go and observe the situation first. If you really need me to take action, although my cultivation is not high, it is still no problem to hold back a robbery cultivator. But my junior sister is not good at fighting, and may not be able to take action at that time. I hope fellow Taoist Liu can forgive me for this." When Liu Yuntao heard Lin Changqing say this, he knew he couldn't force it. He then chatted with Lin Changqing for a few more words and then said goodbye and left. It seemed that he was indeed a little impatient. After he walked away, Chen Ziya couldn't help laughing any longer. She said to Lin Changqing, "Brother, I see that Brother Liu is obviously very impatient. I don't know what his expression will be when he finds the place and sees that it has become a ruin." Chen Ziya was right. It really has become a ruin. Lin Changqing came back 2 days ago. There must be nothing inside. There is no slag left for them. Lin Changqing thought for a moment and said seriously, "When Liu Daoyao arrived at the place and saw that those robbers had left, he would probably be very happy. He didn't have time to come to us again, so he must have tried to clean up the mine first. Then he spent a lot of effort, but only dug up a little bit of ore. He should curse those robbers' mothers." Chen Ziya couldn't help laughing when she thought that it was really possible that it was what Lin Changqing said. Fortunately, Chen Ziya laughed and turned the page. After that, The two stopped discussing the issue of the red refining fire copper mine. The two leaned against each other and chatted for a while before Chen Ziya went back. Lin Changqing estimated that Liu Yuntao would still go to ask those villagers who were rescued, and then he would definitely know that the ore vein had actually been dug up almost. He would only think that all the ore veins had been mined and taken away by the robbers, and naturally he would not expect that all the ore would end up in Lin Changqing's hands. The matter about the red refining fire copper mine came to an end, and Lin Changqing also returned to his own yard. Looking at the huge nest under the eaves, it was the bridal chamber that Chuai and his wife had spent a day to build. The two sides have been slowly getting in touch with each other over the past few days, and Chuai's wife is no longer so resistant to Lin Changqing, at least she allows Lin Changqing to get close. But there is still a distance from close contact, such as letting Lin Changqing stroke her fur, and this is already the effect of 1 or 2 Yulang pills a day, plus the monster meat feeding. Anyway, it has settled down and can be regarded as his own bird. Lin Changqing is not in a hurry. After spending more time together in the future, they will always build trust with each other. And most importantly, there is still the bond of Chuai, and it will definitely not run away. But there is still a problem, that is, at that time, it promised the tribe that it would hand over Chuai and their descendants to the tribe. I wonder if Chuai and his wife will agree to it at that time? Forget it. Let's wait until Chuai's child is born to talk about this problem. Chapter 175, Kindness and Severity. He returned to his room and activated the small 5-element maze formation. 5 days had passed. Lin Changqing was going to let Chen Hu write down the exercises again today. Regardless of whether the content was the same or not, he would get rid of them. These robbery cultivators would take up space if they were kept, and they would pollute the environment when they ate, drank, defecated, and urinated. He raised his hand and released Chen Hu from the spirit beast bracelet. He still looked half dead. Lin Changqing ignored him and took out a bunch of paper and pen and gave it to him, asking him to write down the exercises of the 10,000 Beasts Yuling Sutra again. After more than an hour, Chen Hu handed the exercises he had written down to Lin Changqing, and then looked at him anxiously. It was a pity that Lin Changqing didn't want to pay attention to him at all. He knocked him out and took him back into the spirit beast bracelet. Then he put the 2 exercises written by Chen Hu on the table and began to compare them word by word. It took about 3/4 of an hour to confirm that the 2 exercises were exactly the same. But Lin Changqing still didn't dare to believe him. Anyway, he couldn't practice, so he kept them as reference materials in the future. The next step was to deal with them. After checking the surroundings and making sure it was safe, he entered the inner space. It had been 5 days since the last time he came in, and Su Miniang had also been here for 5 days. I wonder if she is used to it. As soon as he entered the space, Lu Yaoqiang's family would always be the first to find him and run to him. Surrounding him and calling Yo-Yo, Lin Changqing began to feed them with Yurlington and stroke their fur one by one. He also rode on Lu Xiaoya, letting her use the wind escape technique, and took Lin Changqing for a few laps, letting him experience the feeling of running at lightning speed. However, Lin Changqing did not grab its ears, but hugged its neck. After playing with the deer for a while, Su Miniang was already waiting by the side. After taking a look at her, she seemed to be in good condition. Lin Changqing asked, "How are you these days? Are you used to living here?" Su Miniang nodded and said, "I meet the master. It's pretty good here, much better than I expected at first." Hearing her say this, Lin Changqing felt relieved a little. That's good. At least it's safe enough here, and there are not many worldly worries. You can practice with confidence. Try to build a foundation as soon as possible, Su Miniang said seriously. "Thank you, master, for sending me here. I like it very much. I will practice hard and work hard in the future to repay you. Besides, except that it's too quiet here, everything else is pretty good. The deer are also easy to get along with and very cute." Lin Changqing nodded and said, "It's indeed a little quiet here. Don't worry, it will gradually improve in the future. If you have time, you can sort out 10 acres of land to facilitate the planting of spiritual rice in the future. This will ensure that you can be self-sufficient in the inner space." Su Miniang nodded and agreed. Lin Changqing took out another jade slit and handed it to Su Miniang. She continued, "You deal with spiritual medicines and spiritual plants all day long. This is a complete inheritance of a first-level spiritual plant master. You can take a look at the knowledge about spiritual medicines and spiritual plants in it when you have time. It should be helpful for you to learn it. There is also the spiritual plant master's secret technique, peeling yuan and promoting birth in it. It doesn't matter if you can't learn it. Liu Yaoqiang's family's innate spell is this. You can ask them for help if you need it. Su Miniang took it happily. This thing is exactly what she needs now. Thank you, Master, for giving me the method. I will definitely learn it well. Thinking of Su Miniang's identity as a winemaker, she continued, as for winemaking, I don't understand it, so I won't give blind instructions. You can arrange it yourself. In this space, as long as the spiritual medicine, spiritual grass, and spiritual plant are not too important, you can add them directly if you need to make wine without asking me. If it is a more precious spiritual medicine or spiritual fruit, you must tell me first to confirm that it will not conflict with my intended use before you can use it. Su Miniang was overjoyed when she heard this. Thank you, Master, for your trust. I will definitely make the best spiritual wine for you. Lin Changqing nodded. During the conversation between the two, he felt Su Miniang's emotional changes through the silver rune and found that what she said matched her emotions. This proved that what she said was true and she was not just trying to deal with Lin Changqing. This made him feel relieved. However, as the saying goes, kindness and power go hand in hand. Now that kindness has been shown, power will come next. He waved his hand and took Su Miniang to the side of the deep pit and said to her, watch carefully. This is why I won't let you get close to the deep pit. After that, he let Chen Hu out of the spirit beast bracelet. When he just came out, he was still dazed and asked quickly, where's this? Lin Changqing looked at him coldly and said, in view of your unknown true or false martial arts, I will give you a chance to redeem your life. As long as you can take out 10,000 spirit stones, or spiritual objects of equivalent value, of course valuable information is also okay, you can redeem your life from me, otherwise I will send you on the road now. Chen Hu was stunned for a moment when he heard it, then he opened his eyes wide and shouted, how can you do this? Did I write down the martial arts for you? Lin Changqing sneered, how dare you say that? It's a martial arts that can only be practiced to the initial stage of foundation building, and you wrote it down from memory. If it were you, would you practice it? Do you dare to practice it? The only value of this martial arts you wrote down is as a reference material. So now if you can't take out the spirit stones or spiritual objects to redeem your life, then you will die. Chen Hu was so angry that he trembled all over, pointed at Lin Changqing and shouted, you are untrustworthy, you will not die well. Seeing him like this, knowing that there must be no more money to be made, Lin Changqing ignored him. He lifted him up and threw him into the deep pit. Soon, after a few screams, everything returned to calm. Hearing the screams, Su Miniang got goosebumps all over her body. But thinking about it, she felt that she was so lucky to have the trust of her master. She must work hard and repay her master in the future. Lin Changqing sensed Su Miniang's emotions through the silver rune and was quite satisfied. He released Bai Jing and was about to throw him down, but suddenly remembered that he hadn't squeezed him yet to see if he could get some more money out of him. He couldn't just waste it. Bai Jing suddenly felt that the environment had changed suddenly. He was stunned for a while before he realized that he didn't know that he had walked a circle on the edge of life and death. And after so many days, he didn't know how his companions were doing now. However, he knew that suddenly letting him out would definitely not be a good thing. He could only ask anxiously, Dao Ao, you let me out, is there anything you want to ask? I will tell you everything I know. Lin Changqing looked at him and shook his head, and said directly, there is nothing to ask, your companions have already set off before you. I am giving you a chance to redeem your life because you are still cooperative. As long as you can take out 10,000 spirit stones, or spiritual objects of equivalent value, of course, valuable information is also okay, you can redeem your own life from me. After saying that, in order to increase credibility, he also threw out the 2 corpses in the storage bag, one of which was the corpse of their boss Chen Bao. Seeing that the boss's body was here, the others were probably in danger, and the hope in his heart was shattered. Thinking that he needed 10,000 spirit stones or spiritual objects to redeem his life, his face turned pale and his whole body began to tremble. Looking at Lin Changqing, he opened his mouth, but couldn't say a word. Lin Changqing was not in a hurry. After waiting for a long time, Bai Jing recovered. He knelt on the ground with a plop, desperately begging Lin Changqing for mercy, please let me go. I only captured a dozen villagers, and didn't hurt their lives. Please spare my life, I can be your slave. Lin Changqing sighed, another poor guy who can't make any money. Without any hesitation, He picked him up and threw him into the deep pit. After a few screams, everything returned to peace. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.